Chun Baiwen's SSR-level time trace system could replicate events that had taken place at a certain location in the past. The way his system became stronger was simple. Anything Chun Baiwen had witnessed would become history, and as long as it was history, it was a part of the time trace system. You've seen Yu Fei's whirlwind attack, time sand plus 145. You've seen Gao Zhuo's arena performance, time sand plus 169. You've seen Xiang Beifei's punching style, time sand plus 299. All these were scenes Chun Baiwen had memorized deeply before his own match started, then converted into system values. Of course, his method of collecting time sand wasn't limited to just what he'd seen. If he hadn't witnessed something personally, he could also choose to spend a certain amount of time sand to replicate events that had occurred within a specific range. For example, spend 200 grains of time sand. Replication range is within a 200 square meter radius, duration up to 200 minutes. Note: in the current range, replicating each past trace can add a certain amount of time sand. This meant that even if Chun Baiwen hadn't personally seen the current arena's scene, he could still spend 200 time sand to replicate the arena's traces. And as long as the replication was successful, it would still add to his time sand. And when time sand reached a certain level, it could be exchanged for various system items to strengthen himself. Beyond this, Chun Baiwen also possessed various very special abilities. Antique can turn something into its form from a past time period. For example, transforming a towering tree back into a seed before it had sprouted, or turning a piece of porcelain directly back into a lump of clay. Antique can turn something brand new into an antique, like turning a new painting into an antique from 50 or 100 years later. Of course, the duration of the antique or antique effect on an item and how long it lasts are linked to one's cultivation and system values. The longer the time span changed, the more system values it costs, and the higher the cultivation realm is required. For an SSR-level awakener like Chun Baiwen, he's well suited to be a law enforcer tracking down criminals or working in an antique shop restoring artifacts. If he were a pioneer in the outer wilds, he could use it to search for traces of powerful desolate beasts. Stay updated via Empire. Chun Baiwen manipulated a chimpanzee, a desolate beast fiercely charging at Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei once again smashed the chimpanzee with a punch. Then with a slight flash in his eyes, he already knew what would happen next. Boom! 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 The entire arena was blanketed with a mass of lightning, terrifying blue flashes of thunder falling from above the arena, encircling all possible exits of the arena. You've replicated Lin Fan's lightning, time sand plus 18. The thunder rumbled mightily, thunderously loud. Each bolt seemed to tear the arena's sky in half, the blue lightning illuminating the entire venue, leaving everyone utterly stunned. Being a Meridian opening stage expert, when Chun Baiwen replicated Lin Fan's lightning, the pressure it created was at the Meridian opening level, much stronger than Lin Fan, filling the arena with thunderous roars that terrified everyone. Xiang Beifei did not underestimate these bolts of lightning. Even though he could see through Chun Baiwen's abilities, Chun Baiwen remained a Meridian opening stage expert, and he would not be too careless. However, his approach was also quite simple, pulling out a black iron ball and throwing it out. The iron ball instantly exploded in the air above him, extending several small tendrils, which swiftly sucked in all the lightning. Thunder Iron Gall, a tool from the Black Technology Department, acted like a lightning rod, specifically designed to counter various lightning strikers' desolate beasts. Of course, it could also be used against these lightning bolts. No restriction on using any tools in the match, so other people's high-tech gadgets could also be used, and Xiang Beifei didn't need to show off too much of his own power. Relying on tools was quite sufficient. Whoosh! After the Thunder Iron Gall absorbed the lightning, Xiang Beifei charged unobstructed to Chun Baiwen and threw a punch at him. Yet, Chun Baiwen quickly retreated, and soon Xiang Beifei suddenly realized something and turned his fist to the side, slamming towards the left. And on the left appeared a strong fist flame. The fist flame flickered with exploding fire, compressing the air, crackling fiercely as if it would shatter the air with a single punch. Bang! Xiang Beifei's fist collided with the fist flame on the left. That fist flame turned out to be the one he used while facing Ho Chengguo, Boom! 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 Xiang Beifei clashed his fist with his self from a few hours ago. The intermingling fist flames explosively unleashed a powerful wave. The fiery fist flame sweeping out, stirring ripples, the terrifying waves making the ground buzz. Chen Baiwen, by using his time trace, utilized Xiang Beifei's attacks to counter Xiang Beifei himself. Most importantly, both being at the meridian opening stage, to ensure absolute success, Chen Baiwen enhanced the replicated fist flame's power, so when the two fist flames collided, the power unleashed was terrifying, causing many spectators to gasp in awe. It was the most powerful clash that had occurred on the arena so far. The most frightening aspect was that these two fist flames both seemed to come from Xiang Beifei. Bang! However, the fist flame formed by the time trace was still smashed by the current Xiang Beifei. For Xiang Beifei, the one who best understood his own rapid flame had to be himself, so even if Chen Baiwen significantly increased the power of the trace fist flame, it would still be decoded by Xiang Beifei. This guy's got some moves. Xiang Beifei slightly furrowed his brows. Strictly speaking, Xiang Beifei had not bothered to remember the exact position on the arena from where he had attacked Ho Chengguo. Since it was his first encounter with Chen Baiwen and he was unaware of Chen's abilities, he had not paid attention to his positioning. Chen Baiwen, however, could see the remnants of time left behind, which made his own positioning very tricky. When Xiang Beifei approached, Chen seized the opportunity to replicate Xiang Beifei's attack, using Xiang Beifei's own punches against him. You've replicated Xiang Beifei's attack. Sands of Time plus 50. This reminder appeared on Chen Baiwen's system interface. This was just an appetizer. Chen Baiwen snorted coldly and waved his hand again. Attacks of all sorts emerged from all directions. Sandstorms, razor-sharp winds, blinding flying knives, powerful sound waves, sharp wooden spikes. In an instant, Xiang Beifei was completely overwhelmed by the countless attacks. From the current perspective, Chen Baiwen might not necessarily win in a head-to-head confrontation with Xiang Beifei, but the problem was that he didn't need to engage Xiang Beifei in close combat. He could rely on the residual attacks left by others. Chen knew exactly the position of countless past attacks on the arena. Virtually every movement Xiang Beifei made forced him to face a myriad of these attacks. After an initial testing of Xiang Beifei, Chen Baiwen decided not to hold back anymore. He unleashed every attack that had occurred in the arena at every moment, sweeping them all towards Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei was instantly overwhelmed by these attacks, each of which was not particularly strong, but they were numerous. Xiang Beifei was now effectively being besieged by the abilities of all the contestants who had stood in the arena in the past 3 hours. Moreover, these were enhanced meridian opening period attacks, as Chen Baiwen's cultivation was stronger than those others. Bang! 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 Countless ox-headed ghosts charged at him, with poisonous smoke and tidal waves accompanying. Chen Baiwen skillfully controlled the interval of each temporal mark. He did not launch attacks one by one but sent them all at once. Even attacks of ice and fire from different times intertwined, erupting with even greater power. Xiang Beifei's body was already enveloped in flame gales, blocking attacks from all directions. Yet no matter where he stood in the arena, he had to face attacks linked to temporal marks. The only way Xiang Beifei could avoid these attacks was to leave the arena. Outside the arena, the attacks were less frequent, and the power of the temporal marks would be significantly reduced. However, leaving the arena meant defeat. This was clearly Chen Baiwen's intention. Boom! The arena erupted with intense fluctuations, dazzling lights and deafening roars that shook everyone, as powerful attacks intertwined, creating an overwhelmingly dominant scene. Whether from sweeping sword chi or ferocious blade lights, empowered by Chen Baiwen's manipulation. Xiang Beifei wanted to get close to Chen Baiwen, but with each step forward, he was blocked by either thunder or blades. To dodge attacks from all directions, he had to keep moving back. Ultimately, he was even forced to retreat to the edge of the arena. I told you, your victory over Ho Chengguo was just a fluke. I am no discounted SSR like him. Seeing Xiang Beifei darting around the arena, handling all sorts of attacks, Chen Baiwen sneered again. Chen Baiwen is really amazing. The audience, recognizing many familiar attacks, was also amazed by Chun Baiwen's abilities. As expected from an SSR-level system awakener, to the students from Qingzhou University, Chun Baiwen seemed much more powerful than Ho Chengguo from their first bout. It seemed that no one could withstand Chun Baiwen's terrifying attacks. This battle captured everyone's attention. Almost every spectator was fixated on this bout. Many fighters who had previously taken the stage watched in awe as their own attacks were forcibly merged by Chun Baiwen and reproduced in battle, deeply impressed by Chen's capabilities. Too strong. This N-level Xiang Beifei seems to have met his match. Exactly. He doesn't seem as formidable as we imagined. Yes. This time Xiang Beifei looks like he's just struggling to cope. He no longer has the ability to stomp Ho Chengguo under his feet like he did earlier. Does that mean Chun Baiwen from Yenzhou University is much more formidable than Ho Chengguo? Find your next read at Empire. Obviously, the audience at the venue could see that Ho Chengguo was easily defeated by Xiang Beifei, but Chun Baiwen forced Xiang Beifei into a steady retreat, with no power to fight back. It was clear that Xiang Beifei was not gaining any advantage against Chun Baiwen this time. For some reason, the students from Qingzhou University at the scene were now feeling very conflicted. They were secretly hoping Xiang Beifei would defeat Chun Baiwen of Yenzhou University so that Qingzhou University and Yenzhou University would be in the same difficult situation, thus sparing themselves some shame as members of Qingzhou University. However, when Chun Baiwen had Xiang Beifei under pressure, they inexplicably breathed a sigh of relief. An SSR-level student overpowering an N-level student is, after all, the expected norm. This also indirectly suggested that Xiang Beifei's first fight might have been overestimated, and perhaps he was able to defeat Ho Chengguo only because he knew Ho Chengguo's weaknesses. But obviously he didn't know what Chun Baiwen's weaknesses were, and so he was quickly beaten back to his original form. Not only the spectators from Qingzhou University but also professors from other schools not yet matched against Liangzhou University were watching this contest. When they saw Xiang Beifei fall behind, those schools' professors breathed a sigh of relief. A Jizhou University professor looked much more optimistic. Good. This N-level Xiang Beifei isn't as formidable as everyone thought. The team leader from Yangzhou University also secretly celebrated. Body cultivation, after all, is just that. Encountering an SSR-level awakener with skill-based abilities like Chun Baiwen is indeed a big disadvantage. Fortunately, our school's SSR is also a skill-based awakener. The dean of Jingzhou University told his SSR student, "You can breathe easy now, using Chun Baiwen's attack methods. You can definitely suppress Xiang Beifei. Once we face Liangzhou University, boldly go for the Meridian Opening. Choose the Meridian Opening." As Chun Baiwen suppressed Xiang Beifei, nearly defeating him, these schools almost regained their confidence, preparing for their own SSRs to triumphantly assert themselves. He won't be in any trouble, right? Long Guoqing, looking at Xiang Beifei on the stage, couldn't help but speak out. He had never seen Xiang Beifei at a disadvantage till now. For some reason, he felt somewhat uncomfortable seeing Xiang Beifei getting beaten and falling behind, because in his view, only the future him was qualified to defeat Xiang Beifei. Before he had defeated Xiang Beifei himself, he disliked seeing Xiang Beifei getting defeated. Classmate Xiang Beifei will definitely be fine. He is very powerful, Shi Qiao still firmly said. She had always had an inexplicable confidence in Xiang Beifei because of the strength he had shown in the foreign wilderness, which impressed Shi Qiao greatly. Most importantly, every time their team encountered danger, Xiang Beifei was always the first to take care of her. Xiang Beifei's explanation was that she was the only girl and the team's only support awakener, so she must be taken care of. Shi Qiao really liked having a brother like Xiang Beifei by her side. He made her feel very secure, so she still believed that Xiang Beifei would not lose. Yu Qixin had been staring at the stage all this time, from the beginning till now. He had barely spoken a few words, just listening to what Xiang Beifei was saying and then pondering something. Perhaps it was because Elder Luo was present or for some other reason, but he had even cut back on his sarcasm recently. Yi Changfeng adjusted his glasses, looking inquisitively at Elder Luo. "What do you think?" Although he knew Xiang Beifei was always a bit of an enigma, the current situation seemed quite bleak, and he had already guessed about 7 or 8 parts of Chen Baiwen's abilities, honestly startled by such powers. I'm just sitting and watching. Elder Luo leisurely leaned back in his chair, legs crossed, nonchalantly speaking. That kid hasn't even put in real effort yet. If you really think he's being pushed back, you're underestimating him. In fact, he didn't know what Xiang Beifei was doing. But he knew Xiang Beifei was definitely up to something. The arena was ablaze with a powerful light that splashed everywhere, too overwhelming for the eye, having already swallowed up Xiang Beifei's silhouette. Chen Baiwen saw Xiang Beifei continuously dodging and felt assured of his victory. Initially, because of Ho Chengwu's reasons, he had no confidence in dealing with Xiang Beifei, but now it seemed he had been overthinking. You probably don't realize one thing. Even if you are evading and counterattacking, every move you make becomes a part of history. Chen Baiwen's body shook with spiritual power, and a mighty aura swept over. New anomalies erupted in the arena. Even more explosive fist shadows appeared, which were the same fist shadows that Xiang Beifei used to counter those earlier attacks just seconds ago. Chen Baiwen's ability was not only to replicate the shadow traces from a few hours ago, but also a few seconds prior, meaning since Xiang Beifei entered the arena, every one of his movements had been recorded by Chen Baiwen to be used against him. These powerful fist shadows completely covered the arena. For a moment, Xiang Beifei looked as if he were being attacked by countless versions of himself, each strike as powerful as his own. Such a scene made many spectators click their tongues in secret admiration. Thus our awakeners are indeed freakish. Facing Chen Baiwen, one must be wary not only of the opponent's attacks but also their own previously executed attacks. It's utterly unpredictable. Xiang Beifei was already being pushed back by other people's attacks, and now, entangled by his own attacks, the spectators could hardly imagine how he could escape from this situation. For anyone else, defeat was almost certain. However, just when everyone thought Xiang Beifei was about to be defeated, Chen Baiwen suddenly felt something was off and stared intently at Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei had been dodging and counterattacking up to a certain moment but then suddenly stopped calmly, facing the overwhelming attacks unflinchingly, simply ignoring them. The interval between attacks in the same location must be at least 10 minutes, which means if countless attacks occur in the same spot, and all within 10 minutes, you can only replicate one of them. Once replicated, all the attacks on that spot can't be used again within 1 minute, which means among these attacks, as long as I control this 1 minute's timing, your ability is basically rendered ineffective. Xiang Beifei stood at the edge of the arena, thoughtfully looking at Chen Baiwen. Chen Baiwen was momentarily stunned. This guy, how could he say that? Bluffing, you're bound to lose. Chen Baiwen feigned calmness. He couldn't believe that an N-level body cultivator like Xiang Beifei could so easily grasp the flaw in his abilities. He once again targeted the residual attacks left by the shadow traces. This time, he wanted to mobilize an attack that Xiang Beifei threw 5 minutes earlier. Boom! A flame fist shadow burst out from the arena towards Xiang Beifei's back, but Xiang Beifei merely skewed his body lightly. He didn't even bother to move his hands this time and simply sidestepped. Chen Baiwen snorted coldly as he saw Xiang Beifei sidestep, immediately manipulating a chunk of earth spikes from the left to encircle him. The earth spike, with its piercing whoosh, drilled out, its sharp thrust glowing coldly as it bore towards Xiang Beifei's neck. Yet, he froze in surprise when he realized Xiang Beifei's position was extremely tricky. The attack only came within 3 inches of his neck and could advance no further. Though Chen Baiwen could replicate other people's attacks, all the attacks could only occur at their original locations. That meant if the earth spike originally protruded 3 feet in that spot, it implied Chen Baiwen could only extend it the same distance there. Xiang Beifei's sidestep was precisely at a position that couldn't be reached. 3 steps ahead of me, you had used a black flame a minute ago, which means this spot is safe. Xiang Beifei spoke again as he took a step forward. The crimson blade light perfectly stopped just at Xiang Beifei's forehead, unable to hit him. Chen Baiwen's pupils contracted as he shockingly realized the place where Xiang Beifei stood was indeed a gap. Just luck! Chen Baiwen shouted again. Shoo! 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 Countless attacks headed towards Xiang Beifei again. But this time, he advanced unhurriedly like a stroll in the park. He didn't follow a straight line, instead moving in a circuitous path, and though he walked so slowly, he perfectly evaded each of Chen Baiwen's attacks every time. This scene was as if Xiang Beifei, amidst a storm of attacks, had found an umbrella, dodging all of Chen Baiwen's blows. Chen Baiwen's complexion finally changed. If evading once could be attributed to luck, then what about twice, 3 times? If he evaded them all? Even the most foolish began to sense something was amiss. Experienced tales at Empire. How could he find the flaws in so many attacks? With so many haphazard attacks, Chen Baiwen was the one who best understood that although chaotic, his strikes still had a slight imperfection, one that ordinary people would never detect, let alone use for evasion. Yet, this N-level body cultivator had seen it? How could you? How is it possible? Chen Baiwen looked at Xiang Beifei in horror. Just needed to run a couple of steps to figure it out. Xiang Beifei slowly raised his head. Shoo! He vanished from in front of Chen Baiwen in an instant. His speed turned out to be 4 to 5 times faster than just a moment ago. It's gotten faster. Chen Baiwen's heart was shocked beyond measure. This speed was hundreds of times quicker than before. Could it be that he had been dodging so slowly just now merely to find the flaws in my abilities? Doesn't that mean that the N-level awakener he faced just now didn't even exert 1/5 of his strength? How could this be? After all, I am SSR, and he's just an N-level, even if this N-level body cultivation is bizarre. But he and I are both in the early stages of meridian opening. How could he analyze my abilities so thoroughly? Is this something an N-level awakener is capable of? Or is this even a human? Many thoughts flashed through Chen Baiwen's mind in an instant, but there was no time to reflect on them. For Xiang Beifei suddenly appeared behind him, his terrifying fist breaking the air, generating an unstoppable momentum, crashing down towards him. I'm not that easy to hit. Chen Baiwen grit his teeth, and his figure instantly vanished from the spot. Time Mark, which not only allowed him to recreate any scene that had happened within a certain area, but also had another ability, called Reversal, meaning he could teleport to any mark he had passed by just before. However, just as he materialized, he found Xiang Beifei standing there waiting for him unexpectedly. I thought your abilities would be more powerful, but it's a pity you're not very skilled in using them. That's it then. Xiang Beifei shook his head, a tad regretfully, his interest in the match fading, and then he hammered a punch onto Chen Baiwen's face. Crack! Accompanied by the sound of a broken nasal bone, Chen Baiwen was blasted off the arena. Whoosh! 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 Without Chen Baiwen's control, all the time shadows were instantly annihilated, and the arena returned to a calm state. Chen Baiwen's body had long since fallen outside the arena, while Xiang Beifei still stood calmly on the arena. Chen Baiwen lost too? All the spectators were once again stunned. Read latest chapters at Empire. They never anticipated this outcome. Initially, they thought that Xiang Beifei was being pushed to a tight corner by Chen Baiwen's attacks, but nobody expected the situation to reverse suddenly, and Chen Baiwen to be punched flying in an instant. This result was truly unexpected. Liangzhou University wins. The referee looked at Xiang Beifei with a strange glance and then announced the result. Yenzhou University's Chen Baiwen also lost. Everyone didn't know what to say. Even the students from Qingzhou University didn't know whether to applaud or not for a moment. Because this N-level body cultivation had again defeated an SSR, meaning that Liangzhou University was truly this year's dark horse, and they would most likely have to settle for fighting for second place alongside Yenzhou University. During the Qi controlling phase, make sure to choose the Qi controlling phase against Liangzhou University. The professors from Jizhou University, Yangzhou University, and Jingzhou University almost simultaneously changed their minds again without hesitation. Just when Xiang Beifei was at a disadvantage, they were considering choosing Meridian Opening for the matches against Liangzhou University, hoping their SSR could cope with Xiang Beifei using their skills. But as the wind blows, the fence-sitters eagerly flopped to the other side. Now many were wondering, was Xiang Beifei really just a simple N-level awakener? An N-level defeating 2 SSRs consecutively? It wasn't unprecedented. For example, everyone had heard that Shang Tianxiong from Liangzhou was N-level. As a formidable body cultivation, reportedly having a miraculous encounter, he is currently overpowering countless SSRs. Could this guy be trained by Shang Tianxiong? But body cultivation is after all rare, and Shang Tianxiong had been said to have had high-ranked help. When he first enrolled, he was nobody, and it took over a decade of rigorous training to gain strength that overpowered SSRs of the same level. Yet, Xiang Beifei was clearly just a freshman who had awakened his system about half a year ago. A layer of mist had suddenly enshrouded Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei walked toward the stage below with a calm face and soon entered his own rest room under everyone's gaze. A bit slow, Elder Luo said lazily. He appeared very calm, but he was thrilled inside. The reason was simple: he disliked these 2 SSRs. One was Ho Qingguo and the other Chen Baiwen. Both were freshmen who had initially accepted significant gifts from Liangzhou University, only to renege on their commitments and then be ridiculed by other schools. Now, Xiang Beifei had efficiently defeated these 2 SSRs, which essentially avenged the frustration Elder Luo had faced in front of Ren Jianghai and others last time. How could he not be delighted? However, he decided to act very calm in front of Xiang Beifei from now on. After all, he was a master himself, and this young man was his disciple. How could he appear inexperienced at this time? He had already warned himself to remain calm, no matter what this young man did, and to always act like a detached expert who knew everything. I was just curious about his abilities. Just playing around. Xiang Beifei shrugged his shoulders. Just playing around? Elder Luo's face twitched. You're jumping around on the stage just to play around? Your words could really infuriate many people, you know? But actually, whatever Chen Baiwen was going to do, whatever his abilities were, it was all under Xiang Beifei's control. Chen Baiwen had even calculated Xiang Beifei's system values. If he really made a move, Chen Baiwen and Ho Qingguo would both end up kneeling upon meeting him. However, even though Xiang Beifei knew about Chen Baiwen's system, knowing was one thing, and displaying it was another. He merely wanted to see how much of Chen Baiwen's abilities could be manifested and to what extent they could be reached. There was nothing else to do anyway. Yi Changfeng looked at Xiang Beifei with a meaningful expression and said, "You talked a bit too much this time." Every time Xiang Beifei made a move, he almost never bothered explaining anything to his opponents, just concluding with a decisive punch. Even if the opponents failed, they lost without understanding why. But this time, unusually, Xiang Beifei had spoken some words on the stage. Most importantly, these words seemed to inspire Yi Changfeng profoundly. He thought carefully, and if he were in the same realm as Chen Baiwen, facing Chen Baiwen's system capabilities, he seemed to also think of a way to counter it. I met him too late, so we chatted a bit more. Xiang Beifei said calmly. Met too late. Elder Luo snickered, understanding what the met too late meant. Xiang Beifei had previously said he wanted to help vent his anger. But Xiang Beifei had only met Ho Qingguo before. Today was the first time he met Chen Baiwen, so indeed it was a bit late, but actually, both Yi Changfeng and Elder Luo were sharp people. They also understood the reason behind Xiang Beifei's actions. In a competition, normally, the longer you take to make a move, the more of your cards are exposed. Xiang Beifei was actually letting the other schools learn more about Chen Baiwen's abilities, so next time everyone would know how to deal with Chen Baiwen. Yenzhou University itself was very strong and was one of the hot favorites to win this competition. Even if they lost to Liangzhou University once, they might not lag too far behind Liangzhou University in points if they won the subsequent matches. But now, Chen Baiwen had almost completely revealed his abilities in trying to deal with him, especially since he inadvertently shared his own way of dealing with other systems. This was something not only Yi Changfeng could realize, but other schools' professors with rich experience would inevitably grasp it too, and they would surely teach their SSRs how to counter Chen Baiwen. In the following matches, Yenzhou University was bound to be targeted by other schools, so basically there was no way Chen Baiwen could compete anymore, inadvertently weakening Yenzhou University's competitive power. That's a ruthless move. Yi Changfeng couldn't help shaking his head. Everyone now knew how to deal with Chen Baiwen, yet they still didn't know how to handle Xiang Beifei. Because throughout the whole event, Xiang Beifei was just throwing punches. He only knew how to punch. Every time he made a move, it was so simple, a punch that broke all laws. However, the experienced teachers wouldn't really believe that Xiang Beifei only knew how to punch. Elder Luo was also muttering inside. This young man, probably no one in this batch of SSRs can handle him. But after a long while, he laughed merrily again. Once it ended, he definitely had to stroll around in front of Qingzhou University and Yenzhou University. Last time during recruitment, teachers from these two universities had sardonically mocked their Liangzhou University. Especially Ren Jianghai from Qingzhou University, who had secured Ho Chenggu. Just yesterday he was so arrogant. Wasn't he still defeated by a single punch today? As if they were the only ones with talented disciples. Xiang Beifei is so amazing. Shi Qiao handed a cup of water to Xiang Beifei. Thank you, said Xiang Beifei. No thanks needed. I knew Xiang Beifei would win. Shi Qiao looked even more excited than Xiang Beifei, as if she had won the match herself. I'm so envious of you, Xiang Beifei. I wonder when I can be as strong as you. Keep training hard, it will come soon, Xiang Beifei encouraged. Yeah. Shi Qiao nodded seriously, then stole another glance at Xiang Beifei, her gaze hesitating again. He's so outstanding. Would it be too much if I just told him directly? Shi Qiao twirled the hem of her clothes with her finger, her mind so filled with the shadow of Xiang Beifei that she almost tore the fabric. After Xiang Beifei's match, everyone's apprehension toward Liangzhou University deepened. When Xiang Beifei first entered Liangzhou University as an N-grade student, many mocked the school for degrading itself by accepting an N-grade and losing 2 SSRs. Now, however, it seemed that things were not so simple. This N-grade student had actually defeated 2 SSRs from Qingzhou University and Yenzhou University in a row. If defeating Ho Chenggu the first time might have involved some coincidental factors, then defeating Chen Baiwen this time couldn't be so easily dismissed. This guy was very strange. Schools that hadn't faced Liangzhou University yet were already holding emergency meetings, discussing what to do if they lost the dice-rolling phase and how their SSRs should face Xiang Beifei. But they talked and talked, and it seemed like no one could come up with a result. In the recent match, Xiang Beifei hadn't shown any concrete abilities. He just threw a lightning avoidance ball, which was some kind of black technology. Definitely not an item made by a system, something any discerning person could see. Find adventures at Empire. Then, he kept dodging around, avoiding Chen Baiwen's sky-filling attacks. Just when everyone thought he was going to lose, Xiang Beifei ended the match with a punch. It seemed like Chen Baiwen couldn't even unleash half of his strength. However, we already know how to deal with Chen Baiwen from Yenzhou University. His ability has a very obvious weak point. That guy named Xiang Beifei just taught us a lesson with his actions. As long as we face Yenzhou University next time and choose the Meridian opening period, if it's Chen Baiwen again, we'll have a chance to win. All the experienced professors from the schools realized this point. We might not be able to get points from Liangzhou University, but at least we could try to get points from Yenzhou University. On the first day, each school only arranged for 4 matches, and today Liangzhou University had already participated in 3, with 1 more to come. In the afternoon against Yangzhou University, Yi Changfeng arranged for Long Guoqing to go up. Long Guoqing did not disappoint, standing on the stage with his chest out, looking forward to the contest. He had been eager to take the stage and show off, because just being stared at for 5 seconds by someone could increase his system value, and with thousands of people in the audience, that was hundreds of thousands in one go. Long Guoqing looked very proud, absorbing a large wave of attention value and showing off before he seriously faced his opponent. His opponent was an awakener who had awakened the SR-grade wind control system, named Lu Zhen. He was a master of the wind, able to use wind power to an almost magical state, and his way of gaining system value was also very straightforward. Getting blown by wind made him stronger. Whether it was a spring breeze, a night wind, a hairdryer, air conditioning, a southeast wind, or a northwest wind. Just walking and stirring up a breeze could make him stronger. This guy's best ability was controlling air currents, turning them into blades of wind at will. However, as soon as the match started, Long Guoqing just lazily stared with his eyes and knocked Lu Xun off the platform. The entire audience was shocked once again, because they didn't even see how Long Guoqing defeated Lu Xun. It was as if Lu Xun involuntarily stepped back and flew out of the ring. Are all students from Liangzhou University this powerful? Everyone became unsettled. As of today, Liangzhou University had been in 4 contests, winning all of them. And the methods to win the contests were extremely strange, each one resolving their opponent very quickly. That N-grade student Xiang Beifei in the Meridian opening phase was one thing, but even SR grades like Li Zimu and Long Guoqing were so incredible, the entire venue erupted into an uproar. Heh! I'm not even interested in knowing what ability you have. Long Guoqing looked disdainfully at Lu Xun, not even bothering to probe. As someone who loved showing off, he of course pursued the fastest way to defeat his opponent, as it demonstrated just how awesome his abilities were. So he didn't give Lu Xun a chance to utilize his ability. After the judge declared the victory, Long Guoqing stretched lazily on the stage, collecting the late-arriving attention value before walking back arrogantly. Truth be told, Long Guoqing's strength was formidable. In fact, those who didn't understand his abilities had a hard time resisting Long Guoqing's vision pressure. Even those who knew his ability needed great willpower to resist it, because vision pressure was simply indefensible. As soon as Long Guoqing set his eyes on someone, that immense pressure was already applied to his opponent, leaving no possibility of dodging. A normal person simply couldn't react quickly enough. His strength among the SR-level awakeners was considered very top-notch, basically invincible, and few among his peers could stand against him. Of course, Long Guoqing automatically disregarded Xiang Beifei. He didn't count Xiang Beifei in because once he did, his confidence would dramatically drop a notch. So far, the only one who could handle Long Guoqing was Xiang Beifei, whose ability completely neutralized Long Guoqing's, making his vision pressure basically just for show. However, in his own eyes, Long Guoqing believed he was invincible now during the qi-controlling phase. After all, since Xiang Beifei was no longer in the qi-controlling phase, the title of invincibility in that phase could finally change hands. Without a tiger in the mountains, the monkey becomes king. These people are really weak. They should have let me take the stage earlier. A simple glance would have solved everything, Long Guoqing said, his easy victory over Lu Xun bolstering his confidence greatly. Suppressed by Xiang Beifei these past few months, he hadn't had a chance to strut, and at last he could regain his confidence through others. He walked back to the resting room with his head held high, and then he saw Xiang Beifei face to face, deflating immediately. Damn it! Was he watching me the whole time? What else has he figured out? Discover exclusive content at Empire. Long Guoqing guiltily avoided Xiang Beifei's gaze, instantly losing his previous arrogance, cursed inwardly for a moment, and then sat down to the side, disgruntled. Each school had to participate in 8 matches, with only 4 scheduled on the first day. Liangzhou University had completed its schedule for today. However, they didn't leave immediately because there were matches from other schools still going on, which they continued to watch. Xiang Beifei was also analyzing and recording, needing to recognize all the competing students from each school. Yenzhou University, Zhu Pengfei. Jingzhou University, Xue Hanyan. 2 people stood on the platform, and as usual, Xiang Beifei focused on them, observing their system interfaces. Yet just then, Xiang Beifei felt something was off, because the system interface of the male student from Yenzhou University seemed a bit strange. Host, Zhu Xinjue. SR level World Control System. Realm, early stages of Meridian opening. Upon seeing this system interface, Xiang Beifei was slightly stunned. Why did this system look so familiar? Wasn't that the highway couple serial killer he dealt with during the summer vacation? Wait, wasn't that guy arrested? He stared intently at the one named Zhu Pengfei on the platform, confirming the system interface of the other person once again. It was indeed the same system he encountered before. But the current Zhu Pengfei had a different appearance than the Zhu Xinjue Xiang Beifei had seen before. What was most important was that this match was in the Qi controlling group. In the Qi controlling group matches, normally the students sent out were SR level Qi controllers, and it was forbidden to send out those at the Meridian opening stage. To make sure he wasn't mistaken, Xiang Beifei looked over Zhu Pengfei's system interface again and checked the system logs, quickly coming across a familiar interface. In the cruise ship world, you killed He Yun and acquired her cultivation. Xiang Beifei was even more astonished. It was indeed Zhu Xinjue. Meridian opening stage? Zhu Xinjue? How did this guy become a freshman at Yenzhou University? All of a sudden, Xiang Beifei thought of something, and his gaze grew denser. This guy should have been captured by Uncle Lu and then handed over to the Alliance prison according to procedure, essentially a death sentence. But why was he now bouncing around alive and well in this year's freshman competition? Had he changed his identity? Xiang Beifei couldn't even recognize Zhu Xinjue's original face shape, as if he had undergone plastic surgery. In a world assisted by systems, medical technology was highly advanced. Changing a face with a scalpel was simple. Xiang Beifei could see through the disguise of systems, but if the person had undergone surgery, then he had no way to ascertain their original true face. However, no matter how one alters their appearance, the system itself will never change. Xiang Beifei felt more and more that something was off. "I'll step out for a moment. I'll be right back," he said. Xiang Beifei immediately left the resting room and walked to the adjacent corridor to call Lu Hong. "Beifei? It's been a long time since I've heard from you. How have you been?" Lu Hong's voice on the other end of the phone was filled with joy. Since the start of the school year, he hadn't seen Xiang Beifei. He usually only heard about Xiang Beifei's various descriptions at the university from his own daughter and was amazed by him. Unfortunately, Xiang Beifei was busy with his academics and didn't visit the house as often as Lu Jiwei did. "I'm fine. By the way, Uncle Lu, I wanted to ask, before the school year started at the end of August, when we went to catch that highway couple killer from Yenzhou University, what happened to that Zhu Xinjue in the end?" Xiang Beifei asked. "Zhu Xinjue? Oh, him," Lu Hong replied. Lu Hong's memory of the event was still fresh because Xiang Beifei had used his qi-controlling cultivation to forcibly overcome the Meridian opening stage criminal. An event that still stood out in Lu Hong's mind. "Afterward, we caught Zhu Xinjue, but since he was from Yenzhou University, they wanted to extradite him. However, I refused. We tried him here and he was incarcerated in Alliance prison. Even if he was a student, he had to pay the price for killing so many people innocently," he said firmly. Lu Hong was very clear and serious about the matter. "Just imprisoned? Doesn't the Alliance sentence such murderers to death?" Xiang Beifei asked. "He was sentenced to death, but the specific execution details were out of my hands. The Jiuzhou Alliance's system has always been fair. Alliance prison will handle the matter seriously and will not show leniency," Lu Hong explained. "Handle seriously? Will not show leniency?" Xiang Beifei's gaze turned icy. A serious handling, indeed. Zhu Xinjue was caught before the school year started at the end of August, and now in December, just 4 months later, he was seriously handled and released from prison? And now, he even stood on the stage for this year's new student competition. "All right, I got it. Thank you, Uncle Lu. Sorry to bother you. I'll come to catch up next time I visit." Xiang Beifei responded politely, then hung up the phone. He didn't inquire about more details from Lu Hong, who evidently always firmly believed in the Jiuzhou Alliance's system of fairness, assuming that the Alliance would administer justice and prosecute any criminal who violated Jiuzhou's laws. But there was one thing Lu Hong seemed to have forgotten all along. This Zhu Xinjue was an SR-level awakener. The Jiuzhou Alliance was very lenient towards SR-level, as well as SSR and UR-level awakeners. High-level awakeners could suppress those with lower levels, which for the Jiuzhou Alliance, managing the vast land of Jiuzhou, depended on high-level awakeners. Lu Hong was just a small S-level district team leader in Liangzhou. He was upright and diligent, staunchly just, and always handled criminals by the book. However, once a criminal was handed over to the Alliance, what happened afterward was beyond the control of an S-level law enforcement leader. He believed the alliance would deal with such criminals justly and fairly, executing the sentence. But was the Juzhou alliance really as simple as he imagined? With many SR-level teachers and SSR-level individuals present at this freshman competition, isn't Yenzhou University worried about Zhu Xinjue being recognized so blatantly on stage? Xiang Beifei pondered. Logically, a person with serious crimes who managed to escape punishment should lay low for a while instead of showing off in such a grand public setting. Although Zhu Xinjue had changed his name and his face, he should still be cautious. As a Meridian opening stage expert posing as a Qi-controlling stage newcomer, wasn't he afraid of SSR-level referees noticing something amiss? Unless even the SSR-level referees couldn't tell, Xiang Beifei had already thought of a possibility. Though there were many powerful professors and alliance officials present, after looking around, Xiang Beifei realized that the person with the highest system talent was merely SSR level at most. To make it impossible for even SSR-level individuals to discern the truth, there was only one explanation. A UR Awakener, and it had to be a very powerful UR Awakener at that. Currently, Zhu Xinjue must be acquainted with someone at the UR level within the alliance and had used a UR level system to give himself a new face, as well as fabricate a new identity. As long as the one behind the UR system is advanced enough in cultivation, they could conceal the truth from many people. Xiang Beifei immediately returned to the resting room. He needed to ask Elder Luo some questions. Seeing Xiang Beifei's furrowed brow, Elder Luo asked, "What's wrong?" Xiang Beifei watched Zhu Xinjue on the stage. He had already defeated his opponent. With Zhu Xinjue being an SR-level Meridian opening stage, even if disguised as a Qi-controlling stage, his experience was exceptionally rich. He was more than capable of defeating Xue Hanyan, who was in the late stage of Qi-controlling. Xiang Beifei pulled Elder Luo aside, and only when they were alone did he ask, "Elder Luo, did you notice anything unusual about that person called Zhu Pengfei?" Unusual? Since Elder Luo had been paying attention to the match, he had noticed quite a few things about their abilities and said, "This Zhu Pengfei possesses some kind of spatial altering ability. He can bring people into his territory and then suppress his opponents with his own world control system. There are many systems like this. Can't you see that?" He felt somewhat puzzled. The arena was very special. Thus, even though Zhu Xinjue had dragged his opponents into his domain with his world control system, others could still see everything that was happening within. The fight wasn't overly flashy. Zhu Xinjue simply used his richer experience to outright suppress his opponent. Xiang Beifei asked, "I'm not referring to his ability. I mean him as a person. Elder Luo, did you notice anything about him that might have been altered? Like his appearance? Or perhaps he's concealing his cultivation level." Concealing his cultivation level? Why would you think that? Elder Luo was somewhat surprised. "I just feel that this person's strength is somewhat strange. He shouldn't be at the Qi-controlling stage, but at the Meridian opening stage," said Xiang Beifei. Meridian opening stage? Elder Luo was taken aback for a moment. Had he overlooked something? His gaze returned to Zhu Pengfei, who was now walking down from the platform. After sizing him up again, Elder Luo muttered, "Strange. Now that you mention it, there is something odd." Xiang Beifei pressed on. "Did you notice anything, Elder Luo?" Zhu Xinjue, who should have received a death sentence, was resurrected in someone else's body, becoming Zhu Pengfei, and had the nerve to brazenly participate in the freshman competition. It was already unfair for other schools to have a Meridian opening stage disguised as a Qi-controlling stage participant. If Xiang Beifei could expose his true identity, he definitely had to try. He might not be able to change much, but with a predecessor like Elder Luo, he would certainly maintain the fairness of the competition. Elder Luo, appearing thoughtful, said, "There is a very strange aura about him, an aura that feels familiar. I seem to have encountered it somewhere before." His gaze remained fixed on Zhu Pengfei, and his system interface flickered rapidly. Soon, Xiang Beifei could no longer see Elder Luo's system information, which simply stayed at realm. Only after Zhu Pengfei had disappeared into the crowd did Elder Luo withdraw his gaze. Then, as he pondered, it suddenly dawned on him, and he slapped his thigh, saying, "I understand now. These strange auras on the person named Zhu Pengfei must relate to that man. Who is that man? Xiang Beifei asked. Elder Luo frowned, seemingly taking a strong dislike to the man, and after a long while, he said, "He's a senior figure in the Alliance, very powerful and influential, a UR-level awakener indeed." As expected, Xiang Beifei asked gravely, "What is his name?" "Zhu Yiji," replied Elder Luo. "Read the latest on Empire." "Do you know him well, Elder Luo?" Xiang Beifei asked. "Yes, we didn't get along very well when we were in the Alliance, and it started decades ago." Elder Luo nodded lightly. "In that case, the Zhu Xinjue that he once caught must be related to the UR-level Zhu Yiji. Zhu Xinjue could even be his grandson. Thus, Zhu Xinjue was able to use another's body to reincarnate as a freshman of this year's class, most likely through the intervention of the UR-level Zhu Yiji, after being thrown into Alliance prison. Xiang Beifei felt he was probably not mistaken. Zhu Xinjue had come to Liangzhou as a student of Yenzhou University to commit crimes, got caught, and was imprisoned. Then Zhu Yiji, using his means, extracted Zhu Xinjue from prison. However, Zhu Xinjue obviously could no longer use the identity of Zhu Xinjue. So he must have forged the freshman identity Zhu Pengfei with the help of Zhu Yiji, allowing him to enroll once again. With many SR Awakeners in various parts of Juzhou, coinciding with the freshman enrollment season, enrolling as a freshman went unnoticed because, even if one more SR Awakener was among the students, it wouldn't draw much attention. After all, no one could use their own system to verify the authenticity of the identity of an SR-level freshman protected by UR-level superiors. Can't Elder Luo see through this protective aura and see Zhu Pengfei's true cultivation level? Xiang Beifei asked. After a moment of contemplation, Elder Luo said, "If this youngster is related to Zhu Yiji, then it's impossible for me to do so, considering Zhu Yiji's strength is not far from mine." Xiang Beifei understood. Zhu Yiji was a UR-level awakener with immense strength. Although Elder Luo was powerful and would not lose to that man, the issue was that his system talent was only SR level, putting him at a systemic disadvantage. Therefore, Elder Luo could not see through that Zhu Pengfei was indeed Zhu Xinjue in disguise. Elder Luo asked curiously, "Why are you suddenly asking about this? It's quite normal for this Zhu Pengfei to have a disguised aura on him. And there's no violation of the rules because the contest does not prohibit the use of system items from others. In this world, everyone has a system and one can certainly leverage the system items of others to assist oneself, but the use of these items provided by others also requires spiritual power as a prerequisite for exhibition. How much power could be unleashed depends on one's own cultivation level. Therefore, at the freshman competition, it didn't really matter who relied on whose abilities. Do you need me to help you investigate anything? If there's anything you need, I can still offer some assistance," Elder Luo said. Xiang Beifei remained silent for a moment and then shook his head, shrugging indifferently. "No need. I was just speaking off the cuff." Elder Luo's current relationship with the Alliance was already pretty bad. Even if he stepped in, he would likely have little persuasive power. If Elder Luo were to lodge a complaint, failing to expose the truth later would only lead to more disparaging remarks. Zhu Yiji at the UR level was very powerful, almost on par with Elder Luo, which meant he was stronger than many of those present. Thus, Zhu Xinjue disguising himself as Zhu Pengfei had absolutely no possibility of being exposed. In this world, the only person who could see this was Xiang Beifei. Unless Zhu Xinjue changed his own system too, he couldn't escape Xiang Beifei's watchful eye. "You really have a way with this," Xiang Beifei said, staring into the distance at Yenzhou University's resting area. In this system world, so-called fairness was but a fig leaf. The fairness touted above was meant for lower-level awakeners, and the regulations in place were only aimed at those lower-tier awakeners. Because lower-level awakeners were too weak, they couldn't resist and thus had to abide by the so-called fair system. But the high-ranking SR and SSR, especially UR Awakeners, who controlled the entire alliance with various powerful means, intricately woven networks of connections and significant influence, how could the system of fairness possibly apply to them? Xiang Beifei decided not to trouble Elder Luo but to deal with the matter himself. Since the alliance's normal methods couldn't deal with such people, then there was no need for the alliance to handle it. A hint of coldness emerged in Xiang Beifei's gaze. He too didn't like to be constrained by rules. At dusk, when sunlight slanted over the Qingzhou University competition venue, the first day of the competition drew to a close. Elder Luo led his team, hands clasped behind his back, walking leisurely out of the rest area. After the appearance of individuals from Liangzhou University, everyone in the venue turned their attention to them, especially to Xiang Beifei. Everyone had already considered Xiang Beifei a powerful competitor, especially after he had successively defeated SSR-ranked Ho Chengguo and Chen Baiwen. Everyone now regarded him as the prime contender. They even forgot one thing. Xiang Beifei was just an N-level awakener. Now it wasn't about being N-level or not. How could a student capable of defeating SSR-level awakeners be that simple? Xiang Beifei followed beside Elder Luo with composure, content to play the sidekick to the laid-back boss. Being watched by everyone, he felt no discomfort. After all, he was used to it. In school, wherever he went, he was observed. Perhaps good-looking people always attract gazes. Various looks: wary, curious, admiring, respectful, envious. There were all kinds. But among the crowd, there was one particularly sinister gaze. Zhu Xinjue stood amongst the people, continuously staring at Xiang Beifei. He had already recognized Xiang Beifei. It really was him. Zhu Xinjue's heart surged with towering hatred. As a meridian opening phase SR-grade awakener with formidable abilities and noble lineage, he naturally looked down on lower-grade awakeners. Being the highway lover's killer was merely his way of finding amusement out of boredom. He knew he could act with impunity, completely making a fool out of the law enforcers of only S and R grades. To prevent any association with himself, he even went specially from Yenzhou to commit crimes in Liangzhou. Everything had been going well, but unexpectedly, during the summer break, he encountered Xiang Beifei. What shamed him the most was that at the time, Xiang Beifei was clearly just a freshman who had just awakened that year, and his cultivation was only at the qi-controlling phase. Yet, Beifei had managed to throw him off completely with his strange abilities. Now, he had even been forced to change his identity and re-enroll as a freshman. It was all thanks to his grandfather's help in borrowing a corpse to resurrect his soul. After being caught the last time, he wasn't worried at all because his grandfather, who held a high position in the alliance, would surely get him out. However, Zhu Yiji was also very angry, as the matter involved the Zhu family's reputation. It was suppressed forcefully by him at the time to avoid any impact. But Zhu Yiji demanded that his unworthy grandson must make a name for himself. Otherwise, he was not allowed to reveal his affiliation with the Zhu family, lest he bring more shame upon them. That's why Zhu Xinjue was here, participating in the freshman competition. Before proving himself, Zhu Yiji did not allow him to return to the Zhu family. Zhu Xinjue could only rely on the freshman competition to accumulate student points and enrich his resume to prove himself. Xiang Beifei, oh Xiang Beifei, you've taken away my chance of directly working for the alliance and even got me scolded by grandfather, essentially ruining my original prospects. I'll definitely collect this debt from you. Zhu Xinjue glared at Xiang Beifei with vehement murderous intent flickering in his eyes. But soon, he concealed that murderous intent. Though he hadn't expected Xiang Beifei to enter the meridian opening phase so quickly and to possess such formidable strength, this was just a solo competition. There were still team competitions to come. Then, in the wilderness outside the domain, he could have a proper talk with Xiang Beifei. Both Qingzhou University and Yenzhou University had been violently slapped in the face by Xiang Beifei in this competition, and now many were wary of him. The team competition would take place in the wilderness outside the domain where dangers were ever present. He just needed to work together with others to target Liangzhou University, and then find an opportunity to kill Xiang Beifei, thus obtaining his revenge. As for the people he would cooperate with, Zhu Xinjue had a clear idea in his mind. In a one-on-one fight, perhaps none was Xiang Beifei's match, but if 3 meridian opening phase cultivators joined forces, they would surely kill Xiang Beifei. You'll never expect that I am still alive, will you? When the time comes, I will catch you off guard. Make you regret being born. Zhu Xinjue sneered coldly. He was very confident in his grandfather's abilities. As a UR grade awakener, as long as he kept quiet, no one would know that he had changed his identity. Experience exclusive tales on Empire. He must use this opportunity to ambush Xiang Beifei in the wilderness outside the domain. With the wilderness outside the domain being so dangerous, if a freshman had an accident there, it wouldn't be traced back to him. He now had some special UR grade methods that could restrict certain things, ensuring that teachers and professors from each school couldn't arrive immediately to help. In his eyes, Xiang Beifei was as good as dead. Zhu Xinjue glanced at Chen Baiwen beside him, who seemed somewhat downhearted. Just like him, Chen Baiwen was a student of Yenzhou University, and this defeat had dealt a great blow to him. Chen Baiwen, may I speak with you about something? Zhu Xinjue asked. What is it? Chen Baiwen looked up at Zhu Xinjue. Come with me to meet someone later. Zhu Xinjue's lips curved into a smile. Who? Chen Baiwen frowned slightly. He didn't know Zhu Xinjue's true identity, but he knew this person was strange, different from the usual SRs, and sometimes, even he seemed to be wary of him. You'll know soon enough, Zhu Xinjue said slowly. Elder Luo saw Ren Jianghai, the host of the event, in the crowd and walked over with a smile on his face. The performance of the younger generation today has been quite impressive, each of them showcasing their abilities on the field, truly thrilling. As the host, you must have enjoyed seeing the new students' prowess. Right, Ren Jianghai? Elder Luo looked at Ren Jianghai with a chuckle. Ren Jianghai's gaze was dark as he looked at Elder Luo. The other teachers from Qingzhou University also didn't look pleased. The prowess of the new students? Their school's genius SSR had been thrown directly into the trash by Xiang Beifei. Was this supposed to be prowess? Ren Jianghai's face twitched. In past years after the competition for new students, it was he who would mock Liangzhou University, but he hadn't expected the tables to turn this year. Yes, the younger generation is indeed to be feared, Ren Jianghai said with a forced smile. As the host, he couldn't afford to lose his composure in front of so many people over such a trivial matter. Your Qingzhou University students also did very well. I saw a few SRs who were quite formidable, and as for SSRs, they need to push harder. My disciple, in fact, didn't even exert himself much today. Yet your SSRs fell so easily. Elder Luo had recently learned the art of a verbal jab. His speaking skills were impeccable. This statement truly insulted Qingzhou University inside and out. Today, each university had arranged for 4 contests. Qingzhou University won 3 and lost 1. But the issue was that the 3 victories were all due to SR-level students. The only SSR who appeared had been trampled underfoot by an N-level student and was then kicked into the trash. Elder Luo made it clear to Ren Jianghai that your Qingzhou University's SSRs couldn't even surpass our N-level students, who effortlessly dealt with them. Ren Jianghai was smart enough to detect the underlying meaning in Elder Luo's words. Elder Luo thought for a moment, then turned his head, patted Xiang Beifei on the shoulder and said, You should go easy on them next time. Isn't there a saying these days? Young people should uphold martial virtue. Just as Xiang Beifei was about to nod and respond with a couple of agreeable remarks, Elder Luo changed his tone and earnestly said to Xiang Beifei, Don't step on them. It hurts their self-esteem. Next time just skip directly to the last step. Xiang Beifei, Ren Jianghai, everyone, the last step, wasn't that throwing them in the trash? So much for martial virtue. Many students and teachers present actually knew what Elder Luo was implying. Everyone understood why Liangzhou University had no SSRs this year. Ho Chenggu, who was SSR level and who looked down on recruiting N-level students at Liangzhou University, had defected to Qingzhou University on the spur of the moment. Resultingly, the N-level students who were disdained by SSR Ho Chenggu threw the SSR straight into the trash. Xiang Beifei's slap hit not just the face of Ho Chenggu but also the face of Qingzhou University. From a current standpoint, those Qingzhou University recruited seemed more like the SSRs Liangzhou University didn't want, dragging down the SSR's level. Elder Luo glanced at Ho Chenggu in the crowd, Such a student was always the least appealing to him. Regardless of being an SSR or not, with no basic principles of conduct, they were all the same in his eyes. Ren Zhonghai's face was almost twisted from exasperation, but he had no way to retort. His students couldn't compare to others. What more could he do? Just like in previous years when Liangzhou University's students were defeated by Qingzhou University, Ren Zhonghai would mock Elder Luo in a gloating manner. Now, as fortune took a turn, who could have anticipated he would feel so stifled? Elder Luo said leisurely, then led his team away. Ho Chenggu clenched his fists in anger. He had lost today in a rather inexplicable way, and even now wasn't clear about what had happened, and he had been ridiculed by Elder Luo again, leaving him with no way to salvage his dignity. The blows Xiang Beifei dealt him were actually not that harsh. He didn't even have a scratch. But that kind of damage was a mental blow. Enjoy exclusive content from Empire. Enraged, Ho Chenggu left the team and headed back to his dormitory on his own. But at that moment, a barely perceptible wave of energy came from nearby, enveloping Ho Chenggu. Who? Ho Chenggu looked up coldly, his surroundings no longer the Qingzhou University campus, but a cliffside. He didn't panic, knowing his eyesight could tell that someone had used system abilities on him, bringing him into a space. As an SSR, although he had lost to Xiang Beifei, it didn't mean he was a pushover. Zhu Xinjue and Chen Baiwan stepped forward. It's you. Ho Chenggu narrowed his eyes. He naturally recognized Chen Baiwan and Zhu Xinjue. After all, like him, Chen Baiwan had also forsaken Liangzhou University. They had never interacted before, but at least he had gotten some background information. SSR-level genius, Ho Chenggu. I've long admired your reputation, Zhu Xinjue said with a smile. Are you mocking me? Ho Chengwu's aura surged powerfully, suppressing Zhu Xinjue. But Zhu Xinjue looked at Ho Chengwu unflinchingly. Despite the formidable pressure of an SSR, Zhu Xinjue's true cultivation was not weaker than Ho Chengwu's. It was even somewhat more formidable. After all, Zhu Xinjue had been in the Meridian opening stage much longer than Ho Chengwu, who had only been there about a month. Far from it, we have come to you today because we naturally have matters to discuss, Zhu Xinjue said slowly. Ho Chengwu coldly watched Zhu Xinjue. Let's be honest, we from Yanzhou University plan to form an alliance with your Qingzhou University, Zhu Xinjue stated. An alliance? Ho Chengwu furrowed his brows, his gaze resting thoughtfully on Chen Baiwan. You want to form an alliance? Zhu Xinjue continued. You know the situation today, too. Today, both Qingzhou University and Yanzhou University were taken apart by that person named Xiang Beifei. We can't save face. With such a trend, it's clear without even thinking that tomorrow's 4 matches will likely all be victories for Liangzhou University. Then, in the day after tomorrow's team matches, if we each fight on our own, we probably won't stand a chance. Are you suggesting that our 2 schools' teams join forces in the desolate wilderness outside the realm to confront Liangzhou University? Ho Chengwu had already understood Zhu Xinjue's intention. Exactly, Zhu Xinjue said, revealing a sinister smile. Talking to a smart person is simple. Ho Chengwu looked at Chen Baiwan, who had been silent. Is this also your idea? Chen Baiwan was silent for a moment, then nodded. If we don't form an alliance to confront Liangzhou University together, our chances of winning are not high. So, what is your plan against them? Ho Chengwu coldly eyed the 2 men. Zhu Xinjue smiled faintly. The desolate wilderness outside the realm is very dangerous. Although the team trials will have various spheres following, there are no dead angles. If handled well, it's completely possible to take care of him unnoticed. You're planning to kill him? Ho Chengwu furrowed his brow. Chen Baiwan was slightly taken aback. Kill him? He didn't actually harbor such thoughts. At most, he was planning on forcing Xiang Beifei to quit the team match. The only one harboring thoughts of murder was Zhu Xinjue. However, Zhu Xinjue didn't plan to reveal this to Ho Chengwu right now. He was actually waiting for the right moment to drag these 2 SSRs down with him. Yet, Ho Chengwu seemed to have seen through Zhu Xinjue's intentions. I can tell there's a past between you 2. Ho Chengwu's gaze shone faintly. I can see the intent to kill in your eyes. Zhu Xinjue grew wary inside, watching Ho Chenggu. Even though Ho Chenggu had been knocked down by Xiang Beifei today, he was still an SSR level with extremely powerful system capabilities. Explore stories at Empire. Ho Chenggu had never shown his full capabilities, and Zhu Xinjue didn't underestimate him, but he quickly calmed down again. He had UR-level camouflage on him and needed to fear nothing. Fine, I'm in, Ho Chenggu sneered. I also want to kill him. Zhu Xinjue breathed a sigh of relief. Ho Chenggu having this intention was something he was pleased to hear. But then, in a heavy voice, Chen Baiwen interjected. Are you really planning to kill someone? Zhu Pengfei. I thought you called me here just to join forces to suppress Liangzhou University. Without killing him, can you really calm your resentment? Ho Chenggu replied coldly. Chen Baiwen still seemed rational, saying, he only defeated us in the arena. Isn't it normal to lose in the freshman competition? At most, we could jointly teach him a lesson, but it's not necessary to kill. Ho Chenggu scoffed. You're very patient. He's already overpowering you, and you were defeated by an N-level awakener. How can you even hold your head up at your own university in the future? Chen Baiwen frowned slightly, replying coldly, he didn't just defeat me. Defeating an SSR only means he's formidable. If I defeated you, would you also want to kill me? This is completely incomparable, Ho Chenggu retorted coldly. Both you and I are SSR-level students who turned down Liangzhou University. You should understand what it means to be defeated by Xiang Beifei this time. If defeated by you, an SSR, I could only say better skills, but losing to him, an N-level, that's another matter. Being defeated by an SSR-level awakener and an N-level awakener were two different concepts, and Ho Chenggu really couldn't swallow this bitter pill. Yet Chen Baiwen remained unmoved, still rejecting the proposal. Killing someone in the freshman competition is not a wise choice. I just want to force him to forfeit. Chen Baiwen, are you really that cowardly? Ho Chenggu taunted. It's not about bravery, Chen Baiwen responded. At that moment, Zhu Xinjue interjected. To kill, we don't necessarily have to do it ourselves. The desolate wilderness outside the realm holds many dangerous and powerful desolate beasts. We just need to guide them a little. Zhu Xinjue noticed Chen Baiwen's hesitation and continued. If you don't want to kill anyone, you just need to assist us, and Ho Chenggu and I will act. Chen Baiwen frowned and asked, Zhu Pengfei, what grudge do you have with him that makes you want to kill him? A fierce light appeared in Zhu Xinjue's eyes. He had prepared his reasons long ago. The grudge is massive. Do you think this N-level Xiang Beifei is a good person? You are mistaken. He is inherently a criminal beyond redemption. When he was in Liangzhou, he used his power to torment a couple. My brother was on a business trip in Liangzhou and tried to stop him, only to be killed by him to silence him. Zhu Xinjue's tone sounded deeply grievous. But he was protected by that Professor Luo from Liangzhou University, who washed away all his sins, so he has been safe and sound until now. He killed my brother for his system mission. I just want to take revenge on my enemy. Zhu Xinjue was good at acting. Distorting the truth was his specialty. Fabricating charges against Xiang Beifei was easy for him. Is he that kind of person? Chen Baiwen still had some doubts. Although he was very wary of Xiang Beifei and was unwilling to be defeated, it had not escalated to the point of murder since Xiang Beifei had only defeated him in the arena and had done nothing else. Zhu Xinjue said fiercely, Of course. Do you think he's just an N-level? Then you are too naive. He is inherently an SSR. Otherwise, how could he have such strong cultivation? Chen Baiwen looked somewhat astonished. An SSR level disguising as an N level, there's no need for that. As an SSR level, the resources for cultivation and various other supports he would receive are incomparable to what N-level students could get in their lifetime, unless he had a cerebral hemorrhage. Because his awakening system involves tormenting and killing couples as a system mission. If he were an SSR level, he would easily become a target, but by disguising as an N level, no one would suspect him. After all, who would suspect an N-level person of having such capability? My brother found out about this, and that's why he was killed by him. That's why I am here for revenge this year, Zhu Xinjue said grievously. Do you have evidence? Chen Baiwen asked. Of course, I have evidence. Zhu Xinjue took out the photos of the couples who had been tortured to death, some frozen into ice sculptures, others sealed in concrete, buried in the ground, beheaded and then hung from tree branches. These photos were shocking. All were acts Zhu Xinjue had committed, but he was now pinning them all on Xiang Beifei. Chen Baiwen, upon seeing these photos, couldn't help but frown. The photos were very gory and made him uncomfortable. This is too cruel. Why didn't you expose him? How to expose? That Professor Luo from Liangzhou University covers the sky with one hand. All evidence has been destroyed by him. You should know what kind of person that Professor Luo Yunxian is. Zhu Xinjue obviously also knew Xiang Beifei's master, who was a grandson of UR level, so it was normal for him to know these things. Ho Chenggu said, I heard that he once killed an SSR in front of the Alliance. Exactly. He is an extremely overbearing person. That SSR hadn't done anything wrong, but just because his opinions differed from his, he killed him. Many people are angry but dare not speak out because Luo Yunxian's cultivation is unfathomable and he has a plethora of connections in the Alliance. Though he's just an SR awakener, his strength is in no way inferior to UR. How could students taught by such a person be any good? Zhu Xinjue painted everything in black. Chen Baiwen was greatly surprised. He had never heard of these things before. Zhu Xinjue said angrily, These are still preserved by my brother. If I were to expose them, it wouldn't be 5 minutes before the law enforcement would be after me. Chen Baiwen appeared to be persuaded by Zhu Xinjue's words. Such a person was indeed unreasonable. However, he still said, I do not kill. I only want to win the competition and defeat Liangzhou University. Don't worry, you just help us catch him. Plus, you should understand that killing him is merely performing a public service, so you shouldn't feel too burdened, Zhu Xinjue said. Ho Chenggu looked at Zhu Xinjue, his gaze still flashing with an unusual light, suggestive but without saying much more. He did not care about what Xiang Beifei had done previously or whether Zhu Xinjue's words were true. All he needed to know was how to kill Xiang Beifei. The competition the next day started quickly and ended just as fast. When facing Yenzhou University, Liangzhou University rolled the dice and won the choice, selecting the Meridian opening stage. Today, Xiang Beifei's task was much simpler. He just glanced at his opponent's system and easily knocked them off the stage without any fancy maneuvers. Since he had no prior issues with his opponent, he too was gentle in his approach, stopping as soon as he knocked the opponent off the stage, who still managed to stand. It could be said he was the most dignified loser among the 3 SSRs, consecutively defeating 3 SSRs. As an N-level fighter, Xiang Beifei had become an object of dread for all schools. However, it seemed that Liangzhou University had used up all its luck as they lost the dice roll in the next 3 matches, meeting schools that unhesitatingly chose the chi-controlling stage for their bouts. Fortunately, both Li Zimu and Long Guoqing were quite strong, securely winning their matches. With Xiang Beifei analyzing the opponents, losing was out of the question for Liangzhou University. Xiang Beifei had thoroughly researched his opponent's systems, ensuring no disadvantage regardless of who went up. Thus, in this round of individual competition, 8 wins out of 8. For the Meridian opening stage, winning a match added 20 points, and for chi-controlling stage, winning added 10 points. Currently, Liangzhou University had won 3 Meridian opening matches and 5 chi-controlling matches, totaling 110 points. But Qingzhou University wasn't far behind. They secured victories in 2 Meridian opening matches and 5 chi-controlling matches, only losing to Liangzhou University in 1 match, totaling 90 points. Next was Yenzhou University, securing wins in 3 Meridian opening matches and 3 chi-controlling matches. Even though they lost 2 matches, their total points also amounted to 90. When Yenzhou University faced Qingzhou University, they sent out their chi-controlling group. Since both schools were in a tough spot, their SSRs having both lost, making a mutual destruction scenario unwise. However, Yenzhou University's SR in chi-controlling lost to Qingzhou University. So even though their points were the same, based on head-to-head results, they could only rank third. This is a unique aspect of individual competitions. It encourages tests between Meridian opening stage SSRs. Since Meridian opening matches score more points, it sometimes leads to unusual outcomes. For instance, even if a school wins all its matches, if they all choose the Chi controlling stage, they would only score 80 points, while some schools winning only 5 matches but all in Meridian opening could reach 100 points. Of course, that scenario didn't occur this year. Enjoy new stories from Empire. Currently, Suzhou University ranked 4th with 70 points, followed by Yongzhou University with 60 points, Yangzhou University with 50 points, Jizhou University with 40 points, Yenzhou University with 40 points, and Jingzhou University also with 40 points. The points from individual matches are crucial since the team matches involve going to remote wildlands to slay desolate beasts, gathering beast pills, and converting them into points, which are accumulated along with individual match points and used for the final rankings. Once both individual and team matches have concluded, if 2 schools are tied in total points, the results from the individual matches determine the outcome. Of course, ranking first in individual matches doesn't guarantee victory because many lower-ranking schools sometimes kill a large number of desolate beasts in the Team Wilderness expansion, earning high points and potentially turning the tables to claim first place. And tomorrow they would be entering the remote wildlands. The night sky was tranquil. Xiang Beifei sat on the balcony, gazing at Qingzhou's night sky, pondering over Zhu Xinjue's matter. If he wasn't mistaken, Zhu Xinjue had definitely recognized him this time, so for the Team Wilderness expansion, he could guess what Zhu Xinjue would do. He knew that this year's competition for new students was probably not going to be simple. Truthfully, he wasn't afraid of trouble. Even if it was Zhu Xinjue who brought it, he would handle it directly. But this time he was not alone, and he needed to take care of 4 teammates who were in the later stages of Qi controlling. Xiang Beifei speculated that Zhu Xinjue would definitely collaborate with other schools to target Liangzhou University, which could complicate matters. Especially since he was planning to do that particular thing, he needed to be cautious. What if others got involved? Xiang Beifei was contemplating. Knock! 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 The door was knocked. Please come in. Xiang Beifei enveloped the doorknob with his spiritual power, and the door opened. Elder Luo entered leisurely with hands behind his back, then dragged a chair onto the balcony and sat down as if it were his own home. What's wrong? Nothing. I'm not blind, you usually don't act this way, Elder Luo said. What am I usually like? Xiang Beifei asked, puzzled. A bit idiotic, Elder Luo replied. Oh. Xiang Beifei nodded slightly. Is it about Zhu Pengfei? What happened to him? Elder Luo asked. Xiang Beifei was silent for a long while, then shook his head. Nothing. He felt that revealing his knowledge wouldn't necessarily lead Elder Luo to ask how he knew. But Elder Luo would surely approach Yenzhou University for clarification. Breaching the fairness of the competition was seen as unacceptable rule-breaking in his view. But the problem was, without evidence and with UR-level disguise, it was highly probable that Elder Luo's visit would be fruitless and might even provoke criticism given his already precarious situation within the alliance. Complicating matters further wasn't wise. Xiang Beifei still intended to resolve the trouble himself. As if sensing Xiang Beifei's concerns, Elder Luo slowly said, Do you think I'm someone who avoids trouble? Xiang Beifei hesitated for a moment and said, You really have never feared anything. Elder Luo laughed, and after a while he added, That's not entirely true. Everyone has their moments of fear, even I am no exception. Xiang Beifei looked at the big-shot Luo in surprise and asked, You have things you fear as well? To kill an SSR in front of the Alliance, he dared to do something like that. What could possibly scare him? Elder Luo looked up at the night sky, a glimmer appearing in his eyes. His eyes, bright and wise, were as vast as the stars, unfathomable. After a pause, he smilingly said, Of course, there are things I'm afraid of. For example, I fear that the little shop I love will stop making maple sugar preserves and osmanthus wine. Maple sugar preserves and osmanthus wine? Xiang Beifei pondered quietly. Elder Luo feared that? But Elder Luo didn't seem inclined to explain. He just sat in the chair, crossing his legs and looking up at the sky. However, I am not afraid to do the right thing, Elder Luo further stated. Xiang Beifei nodded thoughtfully. For a time, neither of them spoke. They just sat on the balcony, feeling the breeze, counting the stars in the sky. As always, when the old and the young were alone together, it was never dull. Even in silence, it all felt natural. You counted 99 stars. Leisure value plus 99. Elder Luo drew back his gaze, thoroughly content, then stood up and stretched lazily. Young people should be decisive, not always hesitant like Chang Feng, who frets over this and that. Having him constantly in my ear is enough. You are different from him. As long as you believe something is right, go do it. No matter what happens, I've got your back. Elder Luo patted Xiang Beifei's shoulder. Xiang Beifei looked up at Luo Yunxian. This old man was quite aged, his wrinkles crisscrossing, normally appearing somewhat unreliable. But listening to him, Xiang Beifei suddenly felt at peace. It's the job of elders to support the younger generation. If the sky falls, I will hold it up. Elder Luo winked at Xiang Beifei, then leisurely left his room, closing the door behind him. Xiang Beifei watched the door and smiled slightly. Exactly. Explore more at Empire. Fear my ass. Doesn't everyone have a protective elder in their family? The third day's competition was not held at Qingzhou University's venue, but took place in the outer domain wilderness. Moreover, it was in the second most dangerous area, the Marquis Domain. Most of the creatures in the second dangerous area were powerful Meridian opening phase desolate beasts, and a few were top-tier Qi-controlling phase desolate beasts in their late stages. The group competition was not broadcasted because the area wasn't the cultivated domain. The cultivated domain, being closer to Juzhou territory, had less interference, but the interference in the Marquis domain was very significant, and the broadcast would lose connection instantly. Everyone, make sure to hold on to your teleportation talismans. We will arrange teachers to patrol nearby. If you encounter life-threatening situations, you can use the SOS talisman to summon a teacher for help. But remember, every time you use an SOS talisman, 30 points will be deducted. If your score is negative, you will be eliminated immediately after being rescued. The rules for the group competition were still announced by the Dean of Qingzhou University, Ren Jianghai. The advantage of individual competition scores became apparent at this time, as at least Liangzhou University, together with Qingzhou University and Yenzhou University, all had 3 chances to call for help, while lower-ranked schools with only 40 points could only call for help once. The second call would discontinue their participation, allowing them only to count the beast pills they had already collected. Of course, calling for help deducted points, so it was generally not used recklessly unless absolutely necessary. Ren Jianghai continued, apart from the SOS talisman, there is also the forfeit talisman. If the referee hasn't arrived yet but you are in an emergency, you can use the forfeit talisman, which will directly transport you here. Everyone has one forfeit talisman, but using it means you forfeit the competition. The forfeit talisman served as the ultimate life-saving tool, a special black tech transportation tool, ensuring the safety of the participants to the greatest extent. They all stood on a towering cliff, where the school's team leaders and referees were required to wait. From there, they could overlook the vast outer domain wilderness, with high mountains undulating in the distance. It was 1,000 miles away from Juzhou territory, and the nearby desolate beasts were deterred by the big shots in the area, daring not to approach within 10 miles. The base was set here to ensure that the forfeit talisman could be used within the transport distance. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible to transport across such long distances from Juzhou territory. The group competition requires you to kill several types of desolate beasts. The quantity of each type needed is listed on the sheet. You will only know which desolate beasts you need to hunt after half an hour into the wilderness. The mission lasts for 5 days, so everyone must quickly find the appropriate desolate beasts. Also, remember one thing. When facing insuperable danger, don't try to be a hero. Call for help immediately. The nearest teacher will come to assist promptly. You are all future elites. There's no need to risk your lives just to show off. This time, the participants from the 9 elite universities were all SRs and SSRs. To the Alliance, each person was the future of JoJo, so they did not wish to see any casualties in this type of competition. Missing an SR or SSR is a significant loss. However, in previous years these kinds of situations rarely arose because the types of desolate beasts that were hunted had all been carefully researched by the professors and leaders. As long as the team coordinated well, they could handle them. Even if they couldn't handle them, they could still escape. Renjianghai had already gone over all the precautions once, and the school teachers also began reminding their students what to do and what not to do. Alright, how to hunt desolate beasts from here on is not something I can help with anymore. This time I won't be accompanying you. In the 5 days, you'll definitely need to find food. So remember the recipes I taught you last time, and pay attention to whether a desolate beast is edible. I won't be able to remind you on the spot. Yi Changfeng was giving his instructions. Last time during field training, Yi Changfeng had always been by their side to protect and guide them. So even if they went to kill a poisonous desolate beast for food, Yi Changfeng would stop them. But this time it was different. After Yi Changfeng finished speaking, he looked at Xiang Beifei with a stern expression. This time is no joking matter. He of course knew that Xiang Beifei had intentionally dragged back a poisonous desolate beast to trick him during the last training. Back then, Yi Changfeng didn't make a big deal out of it, treating it purely as a part of the wilderness training lesson, explaining how to cook for everyone, an outdoor simulation class that treats any desolate beast as teaching material. Xiang Beifei glanced at the other 4 and said, I understand. By the way, where's Mr. Yuchi? Why don't I see him? Ma Ziqian looked around, searching, and asked. Each school needs a professor to assist in patrolling the borderlands of the Marquis domain, alongside the Alliance's judges to take care of rescues and oversight responsibilities. He's already gone to the borderlands, Yi Changfeng explained. Is Mr. Yi not going? Li Zimu asked. I'm not a professor, Yi Changfeng replied helplessly. Everyone looked at each other. Compared to the constantly stern-faced Yuchi-shin, everyone trusted Yi Changfeng more. After all, it was Yi Changfeng who had been following and guiding them in the borderlands, not Yuchi-shin. But the borderlands were simply too vast. The Alliance had already sent 15 judges, but that was far from sufficient, so each school had to assign a teacher of at least associate professor level to join in the patrol, and only one could be spared to prevent the possibility of favoritism towards their own students. 45 students from various schools hunting desolate beasts in the Marquis domain, and 24 judges patrolling together. If anyone used an SOS talisman, the nearest person would rush over immediately. These security measures were sufficient. Among those who came from Liangzhou University, Yi Changfeng was not yet an associate professor, and Elder Luo was a retired idler, so they had to send Yuchi-shin. Be as careful as possible. If you do as we trained last time, there won't be any problems. Yi Changfeng instructed others. Follow Xiang Beifei's commands. His experience is more extensive than yours. The others all nodded. All right, go ahead. Be careful, Elder Luo said from the side and handed Xiang Beifei a big handful of sunflower seeds. The rest could only watch. It wasn't a case of overlooking others, but rather, aside from Xiang Beifei, none of them could manage those sunflower seeds. Explore more stories at Novelbin.com. Liangzhou University, being first in the solo competition standings, was the first to enter the borderlands of the Marquis domain. Xiang Beifei led his team and quickly left the cliff, disappearing into the towering mountains under the gaze of many onlookers. The time intervals for the school's movements were determined by the current score gaps. Qingzhou University, with 90 points, 20 behind Liangzhou University, set out 20 minutes later, with Yenzhou University following behind them. Ho Qinggu glanced at Zhu Xinjue, and their eyes briefly met in understanding before quickly leading their respective teams to act separately. Although they had already formed a secret alliance, they didn't immediately join together. Doing so in front of the other schools would not be wise. The wilderness beyond the domain was immense. Setting the team's pioneering task within the Marquis domain made the requirements for the team even higher. Even though there were plenty of referees patrolling around, no one took this matter as a joke. Xiang Beifei and his companions kept moving forward for about 20 minutes. entering a forested mountain area. The trees here were extremely tall and grew wantonly, easily 100 meters high. Each tree was also very sturdy, probably because various powerful desolate beasts roamed throughout, and if they didn't grow thicker and harder, they would struggle to endure the ravages of the desolate beasts. Some saplings were still okay, but most of the trees were as hard as steel. A few particular trees were such that even those with the strength of the Meridian opening stage couldn't pluck their leaves. We've been walking for 20 minutes, we can stop now. In another 10 minutes, we'll know what the target desolate beast we need to hunt is, Long Guoqing said. Let's walk a bit farther. Xiang Beifei did not stop, but led the others to continue forward along a stream. Long Guoqing said in a grave voice, "It's unwise for us to continue like this. If the desolate beast we are supposed to hunt is behind us, we'll have to turn back." "No need to turn back. If we miss it, just leave it and move on," Xiang Beifei said. Xiang Beifei wasn't walking straight forward but kept changing direction. "Are you being cautious about something?" Li Zimu noticed Xiang Beifei's intentions. Xiang Beifei did not hide it and said, "Teams from Qingzhou University and Yenzhou University. Everyone's going to hunt desolate beasts, not get into group fights. What's there to worry about them?" Ma Ziqian said, not understanding. Xiang Beifei crossed over a yellow, foul-smelling ditch, explaining as he walked, "Haven't you read the rules? The rules only state that points will be scored based on the quantity of beast pills from the hunted desolate beasts, but it doesn't specify how these beast pills are obtained, which means snatching beast pills from others' kills is also within the rules. Then what are you afraid of? Even if Qingzhou University comes to rob us, can't we handle them? Even if they have 2 students at the Meridian opening stage, isn't one of them someone you could take down with a punch? You should be able to handle the other one too. Plus we have 3 at the SR rank, and the 4 of us could just beat them up," Long Guoqing said eagerly, rubbing his hands together. Xiang Beifei shattered a clump of black thorns that lunged at them with his fist, then stopped on a flat stone. Turning around to look at the others, he said, "One Qingzhou University isn't anything to worry about, but if they team up with Yenzhou University to deal with us, then we're facing 5 at the Meridian opening stage." 5 at the Meridian opening stage? Li Zimu and the others exchanged glances. Where did the 5 come from? Just be vigilant in case other schools join in too, to surround and chase us. There might be even more than 5. If things go south, Ma Ziqian, remember to take everyone and retreat first. Xiang Beifei instructed Ma Ziqian. All right. Ma Ziqian was puzzled but didn't say much more. He had the ability within the team to retreat, capable of taking the others away quickly. At that moment, Shi Qiao reminded them, "The types of desolate beasts have been announced." Everyone immediately took out the list in their hands, and as expected, the list already displayed a line with the names of the desolate beasts they needed to hunt. There are a total of 20 specific Meridian opening stage desolate beasts. Each beast pill is worth 5 points, and for each type of desolate beast, we must find at least one, with 10 points deducted for any we lack. Li Zimu read from the list, frowning slightly. Long Guoqing pondered and said, "So we need to hunt at least 20 specific Meridian opening stage desolate beasts. This is problematic. That's why we were given 5 days to find them. And just hunting the 20 beasts on the list won't be enough for a good score. Other schools will definitely try to hunt at least 30 or more," Ma Ziqian said. "Your adventure continues at Novelbin. Calm. The quantity was not limited, meaning the more they hunted, the better. Hunting 20 specific Meridian opening stage desolate beasts in 5 days was not an easy task, because they needed to find those beasts first. And after finding them, they couldn't just go back. To ensure they surpassed other schools, they definitely couldn't just hunt 20. Looking at the list of beasts, Shi Qiao said, "Apart from the 20 specific kinds of desolate beasts, hunting a mid-stage Meridian opening desolate beast awards an extra 20 points, and hunting a late-stage Meridian opening desolate beast an extra 50 points. Hunting mid- and late-stage Meridian opening beasts also earns points. Those beasts are too powerful. Captain, are you going to try for those?" Ma Ziqian asked. "We'll deal with it if we encounter them." Xiang Beifei surveyed the landscape. This place was a forest, with black trees emitting miasma that obscured the view. He leaped onto a branch and reached the treetop, looking into the distance and said, "The white-boned scarlet essence on the list usually lives in caves. There's a canyon over there. Let's go check it out." Immediately, everyone followed Xiang Beifei's lead, traversing through the woods, and soon arrived at the entrance of the canyon. A red mist filled the canyon, and the intermittent scent of flowers that was refreshing to the heart and mind could be heard faintly. "This fragrance, could it be lilacs?" Ma Ziqian asked. "It's bone worms. Don't smell too much, or you'll be paralyzed. Wait here, keep an eye on the surroundings, and don't get separated." Xiang Beifei warned the others to wait and went forward. "Xiang Beifei, where are you going?" Shi Qiao quickly asked from behind. "I'll be right back." Xiang Beifei vanished into the canyon in a flash. Li Zimu and Long Guoqing looked at each other. Ma Ziqian asked, "Should we follow them?" "He told us to wait," Long Guoqing said. Ma Ziqian raised an eyebrow, surprised. "When did you start listening to him so much?" "Shut up. Just follow the order," Long Guoqing said without thinking. Boom! Suddenly, a loud booming noise came from the canyon. The ground trembled slightly, accompanied by several sharp cries. Long Guoqing's face changed slightly. "What happened? Is student Xiang Beifei fighting a desolate beast?" Shi Qiao asked worriedly. "Should we go help him?" The fog in front of them was slowly changing, quickly turning from red to black, but suddenly all the mist seemed to ignite, and countless flames burst into flames. A shadow swiftly flashed out, and upon closer inspection, it was Xiang Beifei. "Let's go, it's taken care of." Xiang Beifei was dragging a 1-meter-long white-boned scorpion in front of them, which was the white-boned scarlet essence, still emitting flames, but its head was indented, smashed dead by Xiang Beifei's punch. "You took care of it just like that?" Ma Ziqian looked at Xiang Beifei in astonishment. The white-boned scarlet essence was a meridian opening stage desolate beast. Yet Xiang Beifei took less than 5 minutes to handle it. Quick battle, rapid resolution, what can be handled? I directly handle, no waste of time. I've searched. There is only one white-boned scarlet essence inside. We still have to search for other desolate beasts. Xiang Beifei tossed the white-boned scarlet essence into Xiaohei's bubble. "You do realize we are a team, right?" Long Guoqing said. "For this kind of desolate beast, you together would take an hour. I only need 5 minutes, increase efficiency. We need to leave this area as soon as possible." Xiang Beifei gestured and immediately leaped towards the other side of the canyon. "Trying to show off even more than I do." Long Guoqing snorted and then followed him. 10 minutes after Xiang Beifei and his team left the canyon, a gust of wind swept through the canyon's entrance, and soon 10 figures appeared at the entrance of the canyon. It was Qingzhou University and Yenzhou University people. Ho Chengguo and Zhu Xinjue exchanged glances, gesturing slightly. Chun Baiwen stared at the entrance of the canyon, then waved his hand. An hourglass lit up in his hand. The sand quickly scattered, spread around the canyon, and soon the sand from the hourglass condensed into several figures. It was the shadows of Xiang Beifei and the other 4 people. The 5 people from Liangzhou University were indeed here just now, just 10 minutes ago, not far from us, Chen Baiwen said. He possessed an SSR-level time trace system, which could replicate events that happened in a place using the system's abilities, not just on a match stage but also for tracking. Experience new tales on. He had been searching for Xiang Beifei's team all along, which was not difficult, as the 5 people from Liangzhou University were the first to set out, leaving various traces along the way. They set out later. As long as they roughly determine a direction, it would be easy to catch up. Do we really need to keep chasing them? Shouldn't we be hunting our own desolate beasts first? The speaker was a girl who looked very aloof, like an iceberg, another SSR awakener from Qingzhou University, He Qiutong. He Qiutong still harbored deep wariness toward the people from Yenzhou University, Chun Baiwen and the others, seeing them as opponents. She actually did not want to cooperate with Yenzhou University at all. However, Ho Chengguo insisted persistently, persuading the other SRs, and she could not leave alone, so she followed. Take a look at this first. Chun Baiwen waved his hand, and the sand in the hourglass floated towards the canyon again, soon displaying the scene of Xiang Beifei walking out dragging the corpse of white-boned Scarlet Essence. He Chotong's expression slightly changed. He killed the white-boned Scarlet Essence in only 5 minutes. How long do you think you would need? Chen Baiwen asked. He Chotong looked quite serious. To be honest, if she were to face the white-boned Scarlet Essence alone, it would take her at least half an hour, and it was not even certain that she would win without getting hurt. The desolate beasts designated for hunting in the competition were all of certain difficulty, and the white-boned Scarlet Essence, being very powerful right from the early stages of Meridian opening, was certainly not something even He Chotong could underestimate. Now you understand why I told everyone to follow him, do you? Ho Chenggu said indifferently. If we do not join forces, what do you think are the chances of your killing more of these Meridian opening phase desolate beasts than Liangzhou University? His words rendered the others silent. Xiang Beifei could kill a powerful white-boned Scarlet Essence with a single punch, but they could not. So over 5 days, the number of desolate beasts Xiang Beifei would hunt would definitely exceed all of theirs. This was unquestionable. So what is your plan? A student from Yenzhou University wearing a hat spoke up. This student was another SSR from Yenzhou University, Yu Hongba. Ho Chenggu, stroking his chin indifferently, said, "We can join forces to deal with Xiang Beifei and force him out of the competition. Without his participation, the competition would be fair for us." Yu Hongba frowned and said, "Force him out of the competition? Do you think it's that easy? His ability to kill the white-boned Scarlet Essence so quickly shows his strength far surpasses ours. Can't you see that? One-on-one, none of us are his match, but the 4 of us as Meridian opening phase SSR Awakeners together can absolutely push him to a corner. Then, he will have to rely on either a forfeit talisman or an SOS talisman, and either way, our goal will be achieved." Ho Chenggu subtly glanced at Zhu Xinjue. Zhu Xinjue nodded significantly. Although everyone had various forfeit talismans and SOS talismans on them to quickly escape or seek help from nearby referees in danger, Zhu Xinjue had a UR-level grandfather. He possessed a UR system item capable of sealing space. Such UR-level system items would normally not interfere with forfeit talismans and SOS talismans, as those were also UR-level during the Outland Desert trials for new students. However, the issue was that this system item had been specifically crafted for Zhu Xinjue by Zhu Yiji. The last time Zhu Xinjue was defeated by Xiang Beifei, he thought deeply and realized Xiang Beifei must possess a system item that enabled space traversal, likely SSR level. Thus, he sought the help of his grandfather to create this specific UR item. This time, he was confident that once he got Xiang Beifei into his system space again, Xiang Beifei would absolutely not be able to jump around and would be directly trapped in his desolate island world, rendering both the SOS talisman and forfeit talisman ineffective. Zhu Xinjue's spatial ability had suffered a setback against Xiang Beifei last time, but he always believed that Xiang Beifei had used some special system item to counter his SR spatial ability, but this time would be different. No matter how powerful you are, can you overcome my grandfather's UR system space? Zhu Xinjue felt confident about this attempt to take down Xiang Beifei. He Chotong and Yu Hongba were both weighing the matter. Xiang Beifei's performance this year indeed intimidated them all, making it difficult to win against Liangzhou University without forming an alliance. Okay, I agree to force Xiang Beifei out of the competition together. But we must not delay too long. After all, it's not just our 2 university teams out in the desert wilderness. There are other schools too, He Chotong said. After pondering for a moment, Yu Hongba also agreed. Then let's continue the chase. Zhu Xinjue felt invigorated, having persuaded both He Chotong and Yu Hongba to join, which was like adding wings to a tiger. Together with him, that would make 5 Meridian opening experts taking on Xiang Beifei, now surely in an inescapable situation. Chun Baiwen had already waved the sand, which diffused through the air, indicating the direction of Xiang Beifei and his group, and 10 people quickly followed. Smack! Long Guoqing's glare blew up a shrimp that was perched on a tree. Save some energy. If irrelevant desolate beasts don't affect us, don't kill them, Xiang Beifei said gravely. This was a principle that pioneers on a mission must abide by. The desolate beasts in the wilds beyond the domains were endless. They were here on a mission, and if they exhausted their strength killing other desolate beasts before it was completed, they'd be at a disadvantage when facing their target. I just found it an eyesore. Long Guoqing kicked the late Qi-controlling stage shrimp, extracting the beast pill from it. Xiang Beifei pondered for a moment, then went over and destroyed the shrimp's brain. Why must the brains of desolate beasts always be destroyed? Shi Qiao asked. Just as a precaution. Xiang Beifei did not elaborate further. They had now reached a ruin, where countless stones lay piled up, covered in various black plants blooming with bright red flowers. Each flower swayed in the air, watching them ominously. Is this also a ruin of the city of the old days? Li Zimu asked while gazing at the stones before him. It seems so, Shi Qiao nodded. It must be a relic from 1,000 years ago. It's hard to believe that this land was part of Zhuzhou territory back then. Li Zimu couldn't help but sigh. This place was in the Marquis domain, thousands of miles from Zhuzhou territory. 1,000 years ago, there were people living here, but now only several stone piles remained. It was even older than the city of the old days, Jingsu City, that Xiang Beifei had seen before. At least Jingsu City had some large buildings standing, but here only desolate weeds remained. If not for the vague outline of the foundations, it would be almost impossible to distinguish anything. Woof, woof, woof. At this moment, Xiaohe suddenly tugged on Xiang Beifei's ear. Someone is using a tracking system ability on us? Xiang Beifei turned to look at Xiaohe. Woof, woof. Xiaohe nodded, wagging its tail. The person capable of tracking him. Then it must be Chen Baiwen's time trace, said Xiang Beifei, who could think of no other possibility. Chen Baiwen could replicate other people's attacks, and quite possibly use it to track others' traces. How many people? Xiang Beifei asked. Stay updated via. Xiaohe shook his head, indicating that he could sense the presence of a system ability on Xiang Beifei, but couldn't determine the specific number of people. Can you block it? Xiang Beifei continued. Xiaohe nodded, then pointed at Li Zimu and the others before shaking his head again. You can only conceal my tracks? Xiang Beifei was deep in thought. Chen Baiwen's system ability was rather peculiar. Strictly speaking, he was not applying the system ability to Xiang Beifei directly, but to the air itself, replaying a region's temporal shadows, which included Long Guoqing and the others. Xiaohe was able to shield Xiang Beifei from the system ability's surveillance, but it couldn't protect anyone else. If they're coming, then we need to give them a proper reception. Xiang Beifei wasn't afraid of these people because he'd participated in the system missions with Chen Baiwen and Ho Qingguo. Chen Baiwen was somewhat manageable. His system value wasn't focused on cultivating power, but Ho Qingguo was. Therefore, whatever the situation, Ho Qingguo was powerless before him, and he could even use Ho Chengwu's system abilities to control him. As for Zhu Xinjue, He Qiutong, and Yu Hongbao, Xiang Beifei had not participated in their system missions, having only seen them during newcomer trials. However, that didn't mean there was no way to deal with these individuals. Xiang Beifei stood up, looking into the distance, then muttered to himself, Since they are so fond of tracking me, then I can't let them down. Woof! Exactly! Xiaohe eagerly grinned and laughed, enjoying the thrill of stirring things up. Having an idea in mind, Xiang Beifei said to Shi Qiao, Come here, we need to discuss something. Whoosh! 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 A tornado stirred up in the wilds beyond the domain, and 10 silhouettes flashed by swiftly. They rested here for 5 minutes and then headed westward. We've almost caught up. By my estimation, they should be less than 10 kilometers ahead, Chen Baiwen said, reviewing the time trace. That means Xiang Beifei is nearby. Zhu Xinjue perked up. Ho Qingguo casually killed an ant trying to climb a branch, crushing it underfoot, then said fiercely, It seems Xiang Beifei has slowed down. We must not let him escape. The 5 of them, all experts in the meridian opening phase, were linked. As long as they caught up to Xiang Beifei, they could nearly ensure his demise. They swiftly followed Chen Baiwen's time trace forward, quickly coming upon a massive chasm. This chasm was over 100 meters wide and of unfathomable depth. Looking down, one couldn't see the bottom, the area shrouded in a white mist, with many eerie plants growing on the cliff face. The time trace showed that after reaching this point, Xiang Beifei and his party seemed to be talking on the edge of the cliff, and then Li Zimu and his 4 companions continued around the chasm and went on, while Xiang Beifei went down into the ravine. "They've split up," said Chen Baiwen, frowning. "Why would Xiang Beifei leave those 4 S-rankers to go down alone? What kind of desolate beast is he intending to handle by himself?" He Chotong inquired. "Don't know," Chen Baiwen admitted. "With your ability to see others' traces, why haven't you learned to lip-read?" Ho Chenggu asked. "Can you see what his mouth is saying?" Chen Baiwen countered. Indeed, as they had traveled, the time shadows were always very vague, merely rough outlines, and many areas couldn't be displayed clearly. This place outside the domain wilds is inherently strange and easily interferes with the shadows. To be able to display a general outline is already quite good, Chen Baiwen said. Enjoy more content from Novelbin.com. So, are we going down now? They split up? Could it be a trick? Yu Hongbo stood at the edge of the ravine, looking down into the abyss with a slight frown. The fog below was too thick, and it was unclear what kinds of desolate beasts were lurking underneath. No, earlier in the canyon, they had also separated. Only Xiang Beifei entered the canyon to deal with the desolate beast by himself. "Have you forgotten?" Ho Chenggu said. Zhu Xinjue seemed impatient. "Exactly. He is down there. Since the time shadow indicates he hasn't come up, then we must follow him down. He might be dealing with some desolate beast. Taking advantage of his distraction is the perfect opportunity for us. The sooner we deal with him, the sooner we can get to our own tasks." What he said was reasonable, and the others too wanted to quickly take out Xiang Beifei, then go on to hunt desolate beasts. This matter couldn't be delayed. Without any further doubt, Yu Hongbo and the rest began descending the cliff. Among these 10 individuals, naturally, there were system awakeners with flight-related abilities, but they refrained from using them. Although they were all freshmen, they had gone through a period of training and understood very well that unless absolutely necessary, they should not use their ability to fly. Because flying in midair would make them very conspicuous targets for desolate beasts. "Everyone, be careful and don't reveal yourselves. We need to ambush that guy," Zhu Xinjue said in a low voice. The others understood. Their target was Xiang Beifei. If they revealed themselves, it would be easy for Xiang Beifei to escape. "Follow me, and don't stray too far." Brilliant rays of light shone in He Chodong's eyes, and when these lights emerged, they became faint lines that merged into the surrounding colors, subsequently spreading to everyone present. If you looked closely, you would find that everyone seemed to be twisted by these rays of light, becoming transparent. Host, He Chotong. SSR grade. Colorful system. Realm. Meridian opening initial stage. He Chodong's awakened system was very special. Usually, just seeing a color would increase her system points. Almost every color in this world had been defined, meaning wherever she went, she was sure to see colors. That meant she was growing stronger all the time. You see a grass with 15 colors on it, color points plus 15, your oppression power plus 15. You see a colorful hawk with 996 colors, color points plus 996, your oppression power plus 996. You see Chen Baiwen, he has 137 colors, color points plus 137, your oppression power plus 137. A person's body would display various colors including red spots, black spots, and white spots on the skin, yellows, pale blues, light grays, dark grays, and various colors of clothes and so on. He Chotong's system classified colors extremely meticulously. Even one shade of red would have rose red, true red, coral red, magenta. Different shades that the naked eye couldn't distinguish would be considered different by the system if the hue was even slightly off. He Chodong's system color library had 16,777,216 kinds of colors. The more colors a person had, the more they would be oppressed when facing He Chotong. Especially in different environments, sometimes they would be illuminated by various lights into a kaleidoscope, and the generated oppression power would be even stronger. If the opponent wore gaudy clothes, they would inadvertently be severely weakened in their combat against He Chotong. After their defeat, they might not even understand why they were oppressed by He Chotong. It's difficult for an ordinary person to associate their loss with the colors on their body. The SSR systems are just that straightforward and brutal. Your ability is very special, Yu Hongbo commented thoughtfully as he looked at He Chotong. He had seen He Chotong in action and knew how formidable she was, but he could never pin down what exactly allowed her to defeat other schools' SSRs. During battle, He Chotong always seemed stronger than the others. Your ability isn't bad either. I can just turn invisible. Don't overthink it, He Chotong replied indifferently. Yu Hongbo simply smiled non-committally and didn't say much else, but he pondered the matter. He Chotong's battles were always straightforward. She nearly always dominated her opponents, yet the specifics of her ability remained elusive to others. Of course, He Chotong's system could also change the color of light around her, allowing those colors to manifest in the way she wanted, which meant as long as she could see something, she could change its color. This ability could help everyone camouflage, enabling someone to turn completely invisible. When she fought others, she could also make her attacks invisible, making it impossible for her opponents to see the trajectory of her attacks. They might not even know where she was. With He Chotong around, everyone became invisible as they moved along the cliff, going unnoticed even by the desolate beasts. The abyss's cliff was steep and rugged with sharp rocks and thorny bushes in some places, making it difficult to traverse. However, they were, after all, the elite among students, and this kind of terrain was like flat ground to them. The further they descended, the thicker the fog became. Most mysteriously, as they climbed down, it seemed as though they hadn't encountered any desolate beasts. Not even a single living creature was seen. Due to the lighting conditions, visibility got worse, but with He Chotong who could control colors, it didn't matter if there was light around or not. To her, black was also a color and she had it under control. He is still going down. Chun Baiwen's time trace had been showing Xiang Beifei's movements all this time, and Xiang Beifei had been descending along the cliff without a break, moving at a very fast pace. However, after about 20 minutes of their descent, they suddenly realized they had reached the bottom of the abyss. At the bottom of the abyss, there were just some scattered rocks covered with black weeds, and ahead was a path, its destination obscured by the thick fog. The landscape where they stood resembled more of a canyon. And once Xiang Beifei reached the bottom, he suddenly disappeared. What happened? Where is he? Zhu Xinjue asked urgently. Chun Baiwen also felt it was strange. His time trace had been tracking Xiang Beifei's team consistently, but for some reason, the trace vanished when it reached this location. Could he have sensed that we were tracking him? Yu Hongbo suggested. Impossible. Zhu Xinjue shook his head. He has no idea about our plan, and we have been following him the whole time without showing ourselves. It was Zhu Xinjue who had devised this plan. In his view, protected by his UR level system, Xiang Beifei definitely couldn't recognize him. Neither Ho Chenggu nor Chun Baiwen would be foolish enough to leak their strategy. From the beginning till now, Time Trace had recorded every move of Xiang Beifei's team, and the 5 of them didn't seem to be aware that someone was following them. Then what exactly is going on? Why did Xiang Beifei's shadow just disappear here? Ho Chengwu's expression was dark as well. He hated Xiang Beifei deeply and wished nothing more than his demise. They had thought that by following Xiang Beifei down to the abyss, joining forces with 2 universities, they would be enough to ambush and kill Xiang Beifei. But now he had suddenly vanished. I've said before, the wilderness beyond the Marquis domain is very strange, with all sorts of bizarre forces at play. If you had paid attention in Desolate Beast class, you would know that many Desolate Beast's abilities are not any less formidable than ours, Chun Baiwen said with a realistic assessment of his own ability. But this is the Marquis domain, and you are an SSR. Desolate Beasts shouldn't be able to suppress you, Zhu Xinjue insisted. At that moment, someone beside them pointed to the front of the abyss and uttered in a low voice, He's there! Everyone turned to see a very distinct shadow squatting on the cliff as if inspecting something on the ground. It was unmistakably Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei reappeared out of nowhere about 10 meters out at the abyss's bottom, then quickly got up and started walking forward. After just a few steps, he disappeared again. He's gone, Ho Chenggu said. I told you, there's interference here. Now we can only see traces intermittently. Chun Baiwen looked in the direction where Xiang Beifei had disappeared, his expression quite puzzled. He seemed to want to say more but hesitated, apparently worried about something. Forget about that, we have so many people, what's there to fear? Chase him, Zhu Xinjue said urgently. How could they let an enemy right before their eyes escape? Everyone steadied their nerves and quickly headed in the direction where Xiang Beifei had vanished. After chasing for about 10 steps, Xiang Beifei's trace appeared again. This time, he seemed to have encountered something eerie. Running while continuously looking back, his expression somewhat panicked. This trace is from 10 minutes ago. It seems he was entangled by some desolate beast. Ho Chenggu said. Where's the trace of that desolate beast? Why can't we see it? Ho Chenggu asked. I don't know. Maybe it's this desolate beast that's interfering with my abilities, making it impossible to appear. The more Chun Baiwen thought about it, the more certain he became. Anything that can make a person like Xiang Beifei panic like this. The desolate beasts here are not simple. I think we shouldn't continue. Chun Baiwen was very cautious. His purpose for coming here was not to kill Xiang Beifei, but to force Xiang Beifei to withdraw from the newcomer contest. Xiang Beifei was the most powerful student known in this batch of newcomers. If even he couldn't handle this kind of desolate beast, then the others stood even less of a chance. Chun Baiwen was very clear about this, so he had no intention of continuing the chase. However, Zhu Xinjue's eyes lit up. Being able to make Xiang Beifei panic like that means this desolate beast must be powerful. Now that Xiang Beifei is surely fighting with the beast, our chance has come. Have you gone mad? If he can't handle it, what can we possibly do? Chun Baiwen said. Ho Chenggu snorted coldly. The most powerful desolate beast here is only at the meridian opening phase, and we have 4 SSRs here. Aren't we more than capable of handling one desolate beast together? His words made sense, for SSRs of the meridian opening phase were indeed a formidable force. But in fact, even Ho Chenggu didn't know that they were 5 meridian openers. Without giving others a chance to explain, Ho Chenggu immediately chased ahead. Zhu Xinjue followed closely behind. He Qiutong and Yu Hongbao both frowned, but considering Xiang Beifei as a competitor too, they knew that if they wanted to get Xiang Beifei out of the contest, now was the best moment, so they also chased after, and Chun Baiwen had no choice but to follow. Whoosh! Just then, a shadow suddenly flashed across the cliff face. What was that? Everyone stopped in their tracks and turned to look at the cliff on the left. But there was nothing on the cliff, still filled with the mist. Did you guys see that just now? Yu Hongbao asked. I sensed it, but couldn't see clearly. Probably just some desolate beast. No need to bother. Ho Chenggu said. No need to bother? We have 4 meridian opening practitioners here, and not one of us saw that desolate beast clearly. And you still think it's nothing to worry about? Chun Baiwen spoke sternly. He had always maintained the appropriate level of rationality. What are you so faint-hearted? Aren't you an SSR anymore? Our current target isn't the desolate beast. It's Xiang Beifei. Why bother with anything else? Ho Chenggu said impatiently. After discussion, He Qiutong and Yu Hongbao both decided to quickly get Xiang Beifei out of the contest and go complete their own mission, so they continued forward. But just then, a thunderous sound suddenly came from the narrow path ahead, as if something was rolling towards them. Everyone listened carefully, and suddenly felt something was amiss. But before they could react, a torrential flood surged from ahead. It's a flood! Ho Chenggu and the others went pale, having not expected water to surge out from the depths of this abyss. But the water was furious, like a wave 10 meters high, and it shocked them. Everyone's face changed color, all relying on their spiritual power to resist the flood. Ho Chenggu and Zhu Xinjue, being high-level meridian openers, handled the flood with ease, but it was different for the other SRs. The remaining SR students tried to withstand the flood, but it was too violent and swept them all away, totally beyond their capacity to resist. Splash! 2 or 3 SRs were directly swept away into the water, disappearing. Where did this flood come from? Ho Chenggu shouted, immediately retreating. But like a shadow following form, the sound of waves crashing against the rocks immediately rose up sprays of water that chased them, not slower than their speed, quickly catching up and scattering the group of 10. Whoosh! Explore more adventures at Novelbin.com. As an SSR, although defeated by Xiang Beifei, it didn't mean Ho Chengwu's capabilities were weak. He could appear in any spot that had a shadow, including shadows from various rocks or trees. He was only focused on finding Xiang Beifei, hardly caring about the life or death of his SR teammates. Meanwhile, Yu Hongba and He Chodong quickly plunged into the flood to search for the other SRs. And with those who had fallen into the water, they leaped onto the cliff wall. Zhu Xinjue and others were also swept into the midst of the flood, their vision obscured by the violent spray of water. This flood had come too suddenly, and they had been scattered before they could react. He Chodong quickly grabbed his teammates, protecting them, then exclaimed, "There's something strange here. We must leave." "No, we still haven't found that guy," Zhu Xinjue said unwillingly. He had the ability to avoid the flood with his own space system and take everyone with him, but at the moment he was not in the mood to care about others, he just wanted to find Xiang Beifei first. "Exactly. I must make him pay." Ho Chenggu was also looking everywhere for Xiang Beifei. He had to kill Xiang Beifei in the foreign wasteland. Only then could he relieve the hatred in his heart. Whoosh! The towering flood swept over again, once again submerging everyone. For a moment, Ho Chenggu suddenly couldn't see the shadows of others, as everyone was separated by the flood. However, just then, Ho Chenggu felt as if something was off, as if something was underfoot behind him. What he didn't notice was that, as the tide surged up, a figure had stepped on his shadow, watching him coldly. Ho Chenggu sensed there might be someone behind and immediately turned around. However, there was only a cliff behind him with no figure in sight. Whoosh! Zhu Xinjue burst the flood open with brute force, and the waves fell again. Ho Chenggu could then see the others again. He turned his head back, thinking he had seen wrong, and didn't pay too much attention to what had just happened. "No, we still don't know if he is dead or alive. These floods are likely caused by some desolate beast. We aren't clear about Xiang Beifei's situation, and it would be bad if he took the opportunity to strike at us during the flood," Chen Bai once said. "Why are you so cowardly? With so many of us against one of him, can't we take him down?" Zhu Xinjue snorted coldly. However, just as Zhu Xinjue's words fell, a roaring sound suddenly erupted beside him. Bang! Zhu Xinjue was immediately struck by a punch from someone beside him, which sent him flying out and crashing into a rock wall. He was fortunate to be a master of the meridian opening phase, with an ice armor that timely protected his head. Zhu Xinjue turned his head and saw that it was Ho Chenggu who had hit him, and he burst out angrily, "Ho Chenggu, what are you doing?" Ho Chenggu was also stunned. That punch had indeed been his own doing. He didn't understand what had happened. He had just been fiercely searching for Xiang Beifei to kill him. But suddenly, for some reason, Xiang Beifei's voice appeared in his mind. Xiang Beifei had simply said 2 words, "Do it." Then he punched Zhu Xinjue. I. Ho Chenggu tried to explain urgently. "Don't talk." Xiang Beifei's voice again suddenly appeared in Ho Chengwu's mind. Ho Chenggu immediately shut up, but Ho Chengwu's face instantly showed a look of shock and anger. What was going on? Why had he shut up? Why was he doing whatever that voice said? Where did that voice come from? Was it Xiang Beifei? Ho Chenggu looked uncertainly at Zhu Xinjue, wanting to ask him if they too had heard Xiang Beifei's voice and to work together to do something. But strangely, Zhu Xinjue and the others didn't seem to have heard Xiang Beifei's voice, and were still looking furiously at Ho Chenggu. "Go!" Xiang Beifei's voice resounded again. Enjoy new stories from Novelbin.com. Swish! Before Ho Chenggu could process it, he rapidly dashed out again, and a shadow blade appeared in his hand, flinging it at Chen Baiwen and the others. Whoosh! 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 The blades thrown by Ho Chenggu were like black shadows in the air, disappearing in a flash, turning into numerous shadow darts, attacking Zhu Xinjue and Chen Baiwen and the others. Ho Chenggu, you're actually a traitor! Chen Baiwen shouted angrily. He reacted in time and blocked Ho Chengwu's attack. Zhu Xinjue and Yu Hongba also dodged the shadow darts, but a student from Yenzhou University's SR wasn't so lucky. Originally, Zhu Xinjue was standing in front of him, but Zhu Xinjue had no intention of helping him, so the SR had no way to dodge Ho Chengwu's attack and was directly stabbed in the chest. The huge impact slammed his body back, pinning the SR from Yenzhou University to the rock wall. Ah! The SR let out a painful cry, his chest pierced by Ho Chengwu's shadow blade, the wound turning pitch black as if blending with the power of the shadow, threatening to turn his body into a shadow as well. This is the strange part of Ho Chengwu's system. He himself is an extremely powerful awakener. If someone is injured by his shadow people, he can even forcefully transform the person into a shadow state and then devour their cultivation. Shen San. Yu Hongba rushed over in shock, a surge of spiritual power emerging from his body, and just in time, he stopped the gradually spreading shadow injury. However, the area around the wound had already shadowed, and he feared that healing would require quite an effort. Ho Chenggu, how dare you injure my people? Yu Hongba shouted angrily. What's happening? A stunned expression appeared in Ho Chengwu's eyes as his mind went blank. He had not intended to attack this SR at all. He had meant to attack Zhu Xinjue. He didn't even want to attack Zhu Xinjue. He had no idea why he had launched an attack. He wanted to defend himself. But at this moment, Xiang Beifei's voice rang out again in his mind. Continue! Ho Chengwu's hands lifted again. Whoosh! 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 Shadow blades sped forth, charging towards Zhu Xinjue and Chen Baiwen. What the hell? Ho Chenggu panicked. He found himself completely unable to control his own body. His mind was full of Xiang Beifei's voices, as if all his actions were being controlled by Xiang Beifei, who needed only to issue a command, and he had to act according to the other's wishes. How could this be? Normally, shouldn't this be his ability? Ho Chengwu's Shadow Saint had a very powerful special ability. If he had bound someone as a shadow servant, and then stepped on the person's shadow, then for a period of time, he would be able to control this shadow servant to do anything. In his eyes, Xiang Beifei was clearly the shadow servant he had bound, meaning Xiang Beifei was supposed to be the one under his control. But why? Why was it that he was being controlled instead? Ho Chenggu simply could not understand. However, he had no time to think, as he was uncontrollably being controlled, continuing to fiercely attack Chen Baiwen and Zhu Xinjue. Whoosh! Whoosh! The shadow blades targeted Zhu Xinjue and Chen Baiwen, even including Yu Hongba among them, his aim being the group from Yenzhou University. Zhu Xinjue kept retreating, seeing Ho Chenggu going mad as if attacking him, and suddenly he too became enraged. Ho Chenggu, so you're the traitor. You want to take on us from Yenzhou University? You actually betrayed our agreement. Zhu Xinjue shouted angrily, a raging fire burning in his heart. He had thought that since Ho Chenggu had been kicked into the trash bin by Xiang Beifei that day, he must hate Xiang Beifei deeply, which was why he had approached Ho Chenggu, thinking of relying on Ho Chenggu's ability to take on Xiang Beifei together. But he had never expected that Ho Chenggu would ambush them at this time. Traitors deserve to die. Chen Baiwen also charged furiously towards Ho Chenggu. I'm not. I didn't. Don't talk nonsense. Ho Chenggu had a bitter agony that he couldn't express. How could he possibly be the mole? He was the one who most wanted to kill Xiang Beifei, yet his body honestly met Chen Baiwen's attack. Bang! 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 Ho Chenggu alone fought against Chen Baiwen and Zhu Xinjue, ferocious spiritual power pouring out, colliding violently, generating powerful ripples that swept away, breaking the floodwaters all around. Splash! The three exchanged blows and quickly retreated. Ho Chenggu, single-handedly fighting against Zhu Xinjue and Chen Baiwen, was surprisingly not at a disadvantage. Chun Bai-wen furiously said, "Ho Chenggu, you won't cooperate with us and even want to take us on. Have you forgotten how Xiang Beifei kicked you into a trash bin? Forget? How could I possibly forget? Damn." Ho Chenggu angrily tried to regain control of his body, wanting to tell them that he didn't do this willingly. Yet he was horrified to find that his body no longer belonged to him. It was as if his own shadow control technique had backfired, and he had been controlled. Suddenly, Ho Chengwu's mouth blurted out such a statement. After he spoke, even he was stunned. These weren't his intended words. "You're so despicable. I will kill you." Zhu Xinjue had thought he had found a kindred spirit in an ally, only to discover that Ho Chenggu harbored ulterior motives. On the surface, Ho Chenggu seemed to despise Xiang Beifei deeply, but in reality he was targeting Yenzhou University. Enraged, the fragile boat of friendship capsized in an instant. On the other side, Yu Hongba, after stabilizing those SRs, also sensed that something was amiss and saw Ho Chenggu fiercely attacking Zhu Xinjue and Chun Baiwen. He instantly understood. "So that's Qingzhou University's game. I thought you wanted to cooperate with us, Yenzhou University, but it turns out you were luring us into a trap." Yu Hongba was furious. They had joined forces to look for Xiang Beifei. Although they hadn't found Beifei, they discovered their own people trapped by the floodwaters, and then Ho Chenggu launched a surprise attack on Zhu Xinjue and Chen Baiwen. It was clear, even to the dimmest of minds, that Qingzhou University was up to no good. The people from Qingzhou University had feigned an alliance to fight against Liangzhou University. They formed a pact with Yenzhou University, but they secretly intended to deal with none other than Yenzhou University itself. Yu Hongba pondered over this carefully, becoming increasingly certain. Undoubtedly, the underground abyss was a trap Qingzhou University had set in advance. This year, Liangzhou University had Xiang Beifei, which put a significant strain on the other universities. Qingzhou University obviously couldn't outperform Liangzhou University, so they decided to secure second place before anything else. However, to hold on to second place, they still had to get past Yenzhou University, whose strength was no less than their own. Qingzhou University wasn't even assured of a victory over them. Ho Chenggu from Qingzhou University and He Qiutong must have colluded long ago, under the guise of cooperating to confront Xiang Beifei, luring Yenzhou University into this place to deal with them first. That is to say, Ho Chengwu's target was not Xiang Beifei from the start, but Yenzhou University. This explained why Ho Chenggu suddenly started attacking them. Yes, it must be so. Everyone be careful. There may be other traps set by Qingzhou University within these floodwaters. Yu Hongba warned his team. This outer wilderness was officially the responsibility of Qingzhou to defend, meaning students from Qingzhou University must have trained here in the past. They would be quite familiar with this area, so setting up traps in advance was not out of the question. Now that the floodwaters had suddenly risen, who knows if it would be followed by flames, or if cliffs and rocks would crumble and bury them alive. As Yu Hongba was thinking this, boom! There was a loud noise in the distance. The floods seemed increasingly fierce, violently striking the cliffs, breaking the rocks from above, and sending them tumbling down. Rockfall. It was indeed a trap. Seeing the falling rocks, Yu Hongba grew even more convinced of his deduction. He shouted angrily at the people from Qingzhou University. "If you think we're so easy to deal with, you are far too naive." Whoosh! Yu Hongba charged out as a huge boulder of 10 square meters came smashing towards him. He emanated a powerful spiritual power, which rippled upon the rock, making the hard stone as malleable as dough and distorted it into a long, thin rock, as if he had stretched the boulder into a noodle. Bang! Yu Hongba kicked at the stone strip, shattering the rock. Yu Hongba had awakened the SSR-level shapeshifting system, a particularly special system. Anything with form and substance he laid eyes on could make him stronger. For example, a water cup, a piece of paper, a leaf, a tree, a clump of dirt. There are no two items with exactly the same shape in this world, and no matter how much they are replicated, there will always be slight differences in shape. These differences are invisible to the naked eye, but magnified several hundred times, the shapes will differ. Therefore, every object Yu Hongba sees daily can add to his system value. He also has an extremely powerful ability. Not only can he perceive the shape of objects, he can also change their shape. This means he can force any object to change its shape, including rocks thrown at him or mountains bearing down on him. Upon contact with him, they would be changed in shape. For example, he could create a passageway through a mountain that perfectly fits his body, passing through unscathed. Even a spiritual power attack would be transformed, rendered harmless to himself. Boom! Boom! Countless rocks kept tumbling down, rolling in the floodwaters, creating massive sprays and deafening noise, fueling Yu Hongba's growing ire. He Qiutong! What a cunning plan! Yu Hongba glared at He Qiutong, seething with anger. Yenzhou University and Qingzhou University were already rivals. Last year, they were evenly matched, and this year both aimed to push the other down. Their relationship was extremely fragile even during this temporary cooperation, and after Ho Chengwu's action, any semblance of trust was shattered completely. A plan. Discover hidden tales at Novelbin. Calm. He Qiutong, standing not far away, was stunned by Yu Hongba's outburst, confused about the situation. Both being SSRs of Qingzhou University, she knew about Ho Chengwu's deeds and thought he had come for Xiang Beifei seeking revenge. She only intended to assist them in pressuring Beifei to use the forfeit talisman and withdraw from the competition.